Being very professional, Ben.
We will.
Yeah.
Next week.
I hate all of you so much. Why do I do this to myself every week?
Because you love us.
What is going on, everyone? And welcome into the Sunday night college football after dark right here on the main channel, The Voice of College Football. We have a lot of our normal panel here tonight. How are you all doing tonight, gentlemen?
Doing
And
great.
Spaz.
Yeah.
We're here.
Fantastic. Michigan lost.
Unlike Michigan.
There's multiple things to get into tonight, obviously. But and Alex Rea, welcome back. Been a long off season since we've seen you. The one by one, as usual, please tell people where they can follow you online if they so choose to, for whatever mysterious reasons.
Well, I guess we'll start with me. So they can find me on Instagram at Jackson Johnson 543908. They can find me on Jackson VOCFB on X. They can find me on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979. But they could also find me at Alabama at the Voice of College Football, where I host Crimson Tide Live every Monday afternoon at 5 p.m. Central Time. And also, Johnny Burks and I will be having a huge special guest in Ryan Herrings from Locked On Badgers, where we will be discussing the preview of Alabama, Wisconsin. And it's going to be a wild one.
Dang, how many shows do you run, Jackson?
Well, I do the Jacksonian, and I'm hosting Crimson Tide Live with John.
And the Saturday late night. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I got to stay busy. That's the way I see it.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, works for Stephen A. Smith, works for Peoples. I mean, hey, I could do it too.
Right, yeah. All you got to do is get enough people behind you and, yeah, start making money.
You just have to yell more like Stephen A. Smith.
Lay off the weed! Like that.
Yeah, a little more dramatic than that, but yeah, something like that.
Oh, you got me like this, huh?
You'll figure it out. You'll get it right eventually.
Ben, you're fired.
There you go. That's a little better. It's a little better.
I'm Spaz. You can find me at Sean_SpazDrag on X. You can find me at Sean Bryant on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram. Oh yeah, and TikTok. But I need to start posting videos on TikTok and stuff. I need to up my game a little bit. I'm gonna start doing that. But there's so many other stinking shows, man. It's like you're fighting for clicks. Oh wait, that's Dion. Wrong guy.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, but the Chinese already have all your info, Spaz. There's no need.
I wonder what they're going to do. They're going to be like, oh, it's this crazy old dude. Like,
old? Spaz is 29. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about Dion. How much he aged.
He was 29 in the 70s.
Like,
he's just been drinking that. He's just been growing up on that Oregon water. That's all there is to it.
Like I that just came to thought. Like,
I think Dion has aged 20 years in the last 2 years of Colorado. I swear to God.
That is true.
There's no lies detected on that one.
Surely having 2 million followers on X and having 1 million followers on Instagram is going to help you win, right? I mean,
yeah.
Is that where we want to start tonight? We just want to jump straight to Colorado versus Nebraska.
You skipped my introduction.
Well, you have none.
You guys say, Sean.
Hey.
Let's get you-
Jackson post my Twitter link, and
That's the only place you can find him in here.
yeah, pretty much. You can find me this next weekend since the Buckeyes are off and the slate of games is absolute cheeks this week. You can find me on the beaches of Saugatuck, Michigan, soaking in the very last bit of summer that is available to us here in the great Mitten State. So, yeah, weather permitted. Otherwise, I'll probably be at a casino degenning away at all the football games, all the ass games next week.
Yeah. Memo to me.
We got 2 rivalry games next week up here in the Northwest.
Sean,
That we do.
Mm.
you
that?
and I both need to do little parlays together because you seem to do really good on beating the spread. Stanford TC proves it.
Yep. Well, I nearly hit a really huge one yesterday. I had Texas winning every quarter yesterday. Yeah, it would have paid out really nice, but Texas chose to be little bitches and not bury Michigan in the fourth. So, what are you gonna do?
So you lost it?
Yeah. Yep. Steve Sarkisian's merciful heart cost me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start at Colorado, Nebraska, or do you want to start at Texas, Michigan?
You got to start with Texas, Michigan. That was the game of the week. Supposed to be the game of the year, right?
And I think that's fair because, as you noted, Steve Sarkisian took his foot off the gas late in the third quarter when they decided to run on 3rd and 5 from the 50 and then punt again. They were like, "Yeah, we're done. We don't need to abuse you anymore." At this
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could say like I didn't see that coming, but that certainly seemed like a very real possibility given what we had expected from the teams in the preseason and what we saw in week 1. I mean, like they showed something during game day in the pregame. The fan vote was 93% in favor of Texas that week. Of course, there were a bunch of Michigan slaps on the panel, and a few of them picked them to win for some reason. But that was I don't know. I mean, like how does a team go from winning a national championship to putting that on the field in one season?
it does happen. I mean,
I don't know.
It's
If
tough,
Will
but
was
it
here,
does
he
happen.
can maybe
It does
tell
happen.
us. But he's probably hiding in a closet in his dorm somewhere.
Not doing that.
It was an impressive game by Texas, to say the least.
Oh, it was very good. Yeah, I mean,
But-
that really should be the story.
But
Texas
at the same time, is Texas really that good, or has Michigan actually fallen off more than maybe people think they have, or is it a mix? Kind of.
I think it's a little bit of a mix, but I think how far is Michigan falling off? We'll see in the coming weeks. It all depends on their performance against Arkansas State next week, and we're gonna have to see what happens at USC in week 4.
Yeah. I mean, I think
their test is USC week 4 because they just
I think it was a real
horrible.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a really bad matchup for Michigan. Michigan, obviously, their offense is what it is. It's a work in progress. And, I mean, I don't know how much progress you can expect this year, to be honest. Just looking at the personnel they have, I don't think it's very good. But defensively, I mean, their front four is absolutely elite. It's fantastic. And against probably like 8 or 9 of the teams they play this year, they'll be able to overwhelm teams at the point of attack. And with Wink Martindale's defense, they're going to look silly good at times. But if they can't dominate in the trenches, then, a lot of the flaws, a lot of the holes in that in that back end of the defense are going to get exposed. And that's what we saw yesterday. The defensive line still played pretty well. You know, they didn't get pushed around. They didn't get dominated, but they need to be the ones dominating. They need to be the ones dictating. And if anybody can neutralize that matchup, I think they can have a good day against Michigan's defense too. So
I know Texas didn't run very well against them because they
no,
had
not particularly.
two of their guys out. Plus, Blue was banged up part of that game.
No. The rushing stats were padded a little bit with like an end around that went for 50 yards or so. But yeah, they were pretty pedestrian running the ball yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say yours is a little more mobile maybe than I gave him credit for. Because even the first drive they had the touchdown, they got called back for the hold. And then he did it again the next drive where he still maneuvered outside the pocket and found the guy over the middle, you know. So I was like, okay, he's actually more mobile and aware maybe than I was giving him credit for.
Yeah. He's sneaky athletic. It's not going to be a big feature of this game. He's got enough wheels to do something.
Well, Texas absolutely destroys Michigan, 31-12. And I'm sorry, it was 31-6. That was a garbage touchdown at the end.
Well, and what were you thinking about Texas? Like, maybe it's just me, but they look like a national championship team.
They can do it. It's possible. I still don't know how good they are defensively. They played Colorado State week 1, and they played a bad Michigan offense last week. I don't know how good a team that can't really throw the ball very well. We'll see. We'll see if they fix their issues in the secondary from last year, but you know, they're pretty loaded. They're a really good team. There's no question about it. Yeah, we'll see. I'll be interested to see them navigate the meat grinder of a schedule they have. So that will tell us.
He is not a joke.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, though, I'm a little sad for our Michigan friends at the Voice of College Football, but at the bright side, they have finally reached 8,000 subs. Let's help them get to 10,000 subs on the channel. You can always check out Wolverines Live Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can check out the Wolverines call-in show every Thursday night from TJ Ronan, one of the magicians of Michigan. Don't forget, tell your friends, your family, your frenemies, and the cashiers at Publix about the magicians of Michigan, John D'Animo and TJ Ronan.
You know, we don't have Publix in Michigan at all. So there might not be that many people interested. Tell everyone at your Meijer or your Kroger to check out the Voice of College Football at Michigan.
And help our friends at Texas at the Voice of College Football, like Matthew Miller, the chat, who hosts Longhorns Live every Monday at 6 p.m. time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, as he goes over his take on the latest news and notes on the Texas Longhorns football team. Let's help him get to 3,000 subs at the Voice of College Football, and let's help. I will put his X and Instagram linked in a little bit, but let's help him get to 1,000 followers on each of the platforms.
How many subs does he have? No.
Texas at the Voice College Football has 2,710 subscribers, I'd say.
All right. It's nice. That's good work.
There. 114 followers on X. So we're thinking we can help him get a little higher.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to just rip the Band-Aid off?
Let me think. Yes.
Not on me, on the Catholics.
Wait. Our guy's not here yet. I thought he might delay that game.
That's not my fault. The show has been the same time for 3 years. That's not my fault.
Might as well rip our Band-Aid off.
All right, fine. Let's go to Nebraska and Colorado. As Nebraska stomps Colorado a new one, and they didn't even score in the second half.
No, it was a tale of two halves.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of this. Maybe Colorado's defense has turned the corner, though. Maybe a flip switched at halftime. They learned how to play defense.
Oh, it definitely was. I mean, it was 28-0 at half.
It was 28-0, but it was really only 21-0 because Shedeur Sanders gave him a free 6 points from fucking 3 yards out. I mean, just worst pass of his entire career. It's like, and that's supposed to be the first pick in the draft? Not in my book.
Man, I would love to see Travis. Man, if you put Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on a real college football team, that would be kind of fun. But I mean that's not a real team. That is a circus in Colorado, and I don't think anybody should be that surprised here. Nebraska's got a really good defense. They've got a killer defensive front, and Colorado has no offensive line. So yeah, not really surprised in the least.
And they have no defense. That's the thing there.
Their defense has made some adjustments. It did look improved against North Dakota State. I will say that North Dakota State is not a joke team, obviously. But
Nebraska was a mess. Adam's right. They were a mess yesterday in the second half. They couldn't move the ball at all.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't Deion say that he was bringing in his own luggage and it was Gucci?
No,
I think so. I think that
that defense is from the Salvation Army. I'm sorry. That's
yeah. I didn't get to fully invest in this game. I just kind of clicked into it to see the end of it, and I was like, "What is happening right now?" Just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That whole first half, it was like the first quarter, Nebraska just came out and dominated and blitzed everything. And Colorado was like, what's this? Oh, shit. The whole first quarter. I mean, I think they sacked Shedeur 3 times in the first half of the first quarter. And they could not move the ball an ounce. And Shedeur was fluttered. That game was over for him by the end of the first quarter. He was done. He was mentally checked out.
Well, and they did pull him in the fourth, right?
Oh yeah, but did anybody see that press conference of Shedeur Sanders?
Oh my goodness.
He was like blaming his own line. You saw it, didn't you, Spad?
Yeah, I did. I was like, I saw the highlights of all that, and I was like, what is he teaching his kids? Oh, let's just be cocky and be all full of our own cock and balls, or what? I mean, the way that kid just
like
over and over.
As much fun as it is to shit on Colorado, I feel like, stop like emphasizing everything that's wrong with college football and talk about a program that's actually doing it right, because, Dylan Raiola's a star. Matt Rule really seems to have this program heading in the right direction. This is, I mean, like you more shine should be shown on what Nebraska is doing. We know Colorado is a circus. We don't need to beat that dead horse anymore.
having a 2 million, what was it, 1 million Instagram followers, I thought that was going to help him win against Nebraska. Oh man! But in all seriousness, though,
You have to have the slightest clue of how to build a college football program first.
I think one of the things is I'm just happy now. All the Colorado fans will shut the hell up again after they beat North Dakota State. I was like, great. Now they're going to be more obnoxious than ever. And they still barely beat North Dakota State at home. So
5 yards short. 5 yards short.
As time expired, So
Yeah.
I remember where like Brad Crawford,
But it's not
47 Sports, friend of the college football, by the way, asked a question on X, said, "Will Nebraska smash Colorado?" And I replied, "Yes, definitely, absolutely. They're gonna beat them 35-13. They won 28-10."
Yep. And congratulations on Dallin Hayden leaving Ohio State to go get those 5 garbage carries in the fourth quarter at Colorado.
Yeah. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Yep.
But speaking of Nebraska, some people have said they could be 8-0 going into Ohio State.
Yeah, their schedule's weak. It's real weak.
But
That's what they were saying on the broadcast yesterday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't throw the cart in before the horse just yet because it's still got to get played first.
Well, of course, but I mean, like it's absolutely real. I mean, I would almost say it's more likely than not. Looking at it, so I remember looking at their schedule, and it's quite soft. I got to look this up again here, but saying that could be a high emphasis game. It'd be a big time matchup. Probably not going to be that good of a game, to be honest. Not to sound cocky, but
Illinois is definitely harder than it looks.
Yeah, that's at home. Oh my God, their hardest game before they play Ohio State is Rutgers at home.
Indiana is kind of looking like a trap game, but it all depends on.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, like, listen. I mean, people are jumping on something of an Indiana bandwagon, if such a thing exists, over what they did Friday night against one of the absolute worst teams in the FCS. I mean, Western Illinois has not won a game. Has gone winless the last 2 seasons. I don't know if you can count anything that you do against them as reason for ballyhoos or high expectations at all.
Before we get too far off Colorado here, quick, Mike, here's the question too. Do you think that the CU higher ups at Colorado care that Deion's going to leave in the spring, which is suspected as his kids leave, and they'll get good? You think it even matters to them?
Okay,
you better think it would.
I think their thought process when they hired him was this program, it was so deep in the dumps that and it was like one of the most juiceless programs. Like, nobody cared about Colorado football at all, and it's completely isolated geographically. So like doing anything to bring any sort of charisma to that program, I think was very important to them, just to get some sort of juice going. And it's a high risk move, obviously, and I think they're probably going to eat the losing end of that risk when he's gone. So I do think they care, but they might also be ready to see him go too, to be honest. I mean, like, we've got a whole season to play out, and I still think Colorado, the Big 12 is average enough that they could get bowl eligible, but it's It's not trending in the right direction at all.
Well, I mean, I got a question for everybody. Had Deion Sanders not gone to Colorado, would they have still entered the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, probably. That's still a a decent brand. They've got a lot of. That's a fine university. They've got a lot of. They've got a good endowment. I mean, I feel like they would have for sure almost, and they're decent in the Olympic sports and.
Well, and geographically, it made sense with the Arizonas and stuff like that. So it made sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, yes, we know geography doesn't mean anything, but they're just going to take all those corner schools,
Yeah. And you've got, I mean, like you've got some hip, trendy metros in there too, Denver, Boulder, in there. I mean, like there's enough value in Colorado that they almost for sure would have ended up in a power conference.
Damn it, Troy.
Well, and the thing with Colorado, like a lot of people are saying out here, is Colorado and Nebraska and a few other schools had some great fucking games 30 years ago. Had some great rivalries. And then Colorado died, and they haven't been back since.
One of my favorite games ever was 2001 when Nebraska rolled in with the number 1 ranked team in the country and just got absolutely jail sexed in Boulder. Yeah.
I never heard that one. That's a new one for me.
Well, then the Ducks jail sexed Colorado.
Was it the Fiesta Bowl or something like that? Or was it something? One of those.
Did you spell that with a GEL or?
Yeah, that was like 46-10 or some shit.
No.
Murdered them.
Sets, huh?
Yeah.
I that word up.
They only have suck now.
Hey, I mean, this is what After Dark's for. Not for
yeah. We have free reign of this. Okay. Can we just say that? Let's just do this then. Let's just say I think of a certain conference that had a rough weekend. The SEC had a rough weekend. Mississippi State losing to Arizona State, and Arkansas absolutely blowing it against Oklahoma State. I don't even know how they managed to do that.
Arkansas, Oklahoma State, they both were just trying to piss that game away, I swear.
They were. They literally were. I was like, Arkansas's got this in the bag. And then it's like, what is happening right now?
Like, Sam Pittman, his seat just got hotter. And I'll be honest, I kind of feel like Bobby Petrino maybe was doing enough job to where he can be the interim coach.
They were running wild for a while on Oklahoma State. Like every time I saw a highlight, it was just like, oh, there's another 30-yard run. Touchdown. I was like, how do you piss this away?
Yeah, and those games are so much more important for the SEC programs and those because the Big 12 teams, it almost doesn't matter at all whether you're going to have to win that league to get a playoff bid. More than likely, anyway. It's just how Arkansas, like you might not get bowl eligible because, and Arizona State and Oklahoma State, I think, are both going to be bowl. Pardon me. They're both going to be bowl teams regardless. So,
Jesus, Sean.
So I'm sorry. I'm probably going to make half the viewers sneeze now, so I apologize in advance. But no, I mean, like you can't be blowing out of conference games when you're playing an SEC schedule. So I mean, Sam Pittman, a very much on the hot seat as it is right now, and losing the game in that manner, yeah, that doesn't bode well.
Yeah, that was the stat. How they out Oklahoma State 648 yards, and Oklahoma State had 385 yards, and yet you lost.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I know that a lot of people were pretty mad about it. A friend of the Voice of College Football, Caroline Fenton at Yahoo Sports, said, "I regret taking Arkansas to beat the spread against Oklahoma State." And Jay Smith from Unfair Sports regrets it as well. And I was like, I think we all do.
Oh, well, shit. I highly apologize to. I have my list. It's all out of order. That's why I'm over here. I'm like, I highly apologize. We have Alex in here. Congratulations, Alex, on revenge for last year's game where Auburn barely beat you guys at home. You went to Auburn and made those fans very, very sad and depressed.
Congrats to the Cal Golden Bears.
Yeah, it's been a long time since Oscar's had a whole lot to celebrate. Go ahead, you went into SEC country and showed them who's boss.
Well,
I guess they did beat the tar out of UCLA last year, but
Pooh Bear got stuck in. I forget what it was. Was it like a cave or something like that, or a tunnel? Well, California put Auburn in there this week.
I mean, it wasn't
Charles and Kelvin are hanging by their necks because A&M got choked last week, and then Auburn choked against Cal this week. So now father and son are hanging on spaces by their neck.
yeah, no. Yeah, we were talking backstage before the show about how heartbroken I am for Hugh Freeze. Like every time he loses, it just tears my soul apart watching Hugh Freeze struggle.
Oh, he can just celebrate with a hooker in the back room. So I mean, use them.
Yeah, on his way to teaching Sunday school and telling us what terrible people we are for not embracing.
Adam Dabba hung 66 yesterday, so I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I was not
talking about Auburn, and you come up with that.
But we'll see, though, what kind of year do we see for Cal after that win over Auburn? We're not going to see them flip up against San Diego State on ACC After Dark next Saturday, are we?
Probably.
San Diego State hung a goose egg on Oregon State at home. They're not beating Cal.
No, they probably are.
This is Justin Wilcox. Remember, he has been so up and down as a Cal coach that you never know what you're going to get from Cal. Unfortunately, that is just the truth. Alex would probably agree with that in the chat. You don't know what's going to happen.
Listen, I've been watching college football for about 30 years, and if I have learned anything, it's that anything on the West Coast, and you guys definitely know this, you see goofy things on the West Coast. You see results that don't make any sense, just all the time. That's a specialty. That was a Pac-12 specialty. Okay, like. The second worst team is playing the second best team. The second worst team is going to win by like 40. You have that kind of shit just happens.
Yeah.
You'll see a team beat USC one week and then lose to Cal Poly the next week. Something, Well,
speaking of USC, speaking of a team that USC luckily doesn't have to face this year, What is happening with Cam Rising? Is he injured again? As Utah takes out Baylor in an ugly 23-12 game. Is Cam Rising out again?
Utah, what? I mean, Utah, they were up by quite a bit in this game pretty early, weren't they? Like,
well, yeah, and then he went out and they put their backup in.
And then he got hurt. And Cam Rising got hurt.
Yeah.
I have not heard any updates on this at all, though. So I don't know.
That's why I wasn't sure if anyone else had.
It's his right hand, I believe, is what they said. I read it earlier today.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Keep chopping.
Well, I did remember when I watched a little bit of the game before they went to commercial break. They played Bad Moon Rising for a little bit.
So according to ESPN, Kyle Bonagura says the injury is not serious. So we'll if that is true, then that's a good sign. A hand injury is probably not something that should linger.
They probably held him out. They were up enough where they just held him out.
It was only 23-0. They never moved the ball after that. They didn't score.
Just like last year.
23-12.
No, they didn't need to. I mean, they didn't need to.
Yeah.
They felt confident enough.
So if you're a program worried about your defense, a really good defensive coordinator probably will hit the market fairly soon, because I don't know how long Dave Aranda is long for that position at Baylor.
It's not looking good. I mean, it definitely. No. You're in the hot seat position.
Well, what's the magic number for Dave Aranda to keep his job beyond 24? Do you think it's like 6, 7, 8?
I would say probably 8.
8 or
7.
9.
7. You're on real shaky ground, and probably beyond that, less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 7 and 5, you're going to need a lobbying session from your agent.
Well, that and you can't have embarrassing losses. Let's put it that way. Like, they've got to still be competitive, like, games. You can't be like getting blown out like 40-0 in those 5 losses.
What if they enter the start of October 4-1? Like, think about that. Not saying they will, but what if they did?
Well, what's going on that weekend?
Well, next week, Baylor's going to have Air Force come to their backyard, and it's going to be on FS1. Week 4, they got to go to Colorado. And finally, for week 5, we got the Baptists and the Mormons going against one another. So, I mean, if Baylor was 4-1 going into the end of October, where does Dave Aranda stand? Would he need like a few more games, kind of like how Neil Brown did last season?
I mean, there were a lot of people calling for his head last year. I mean, what did they finish last year? Like 7-6?
9-4.
What, 9-4?
Yeah, West Virginia finished 9-4 last year.
No. Baylor.
Oh,
Did Baylor make a bowl?
Near close to 7-6.
Yeah.
They didn't make a bowl. I thought they were in a bowl game last year.
No.
Oh, they didn't? Okay.
No, they're back to the shit old days.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
3.
Yeah. So Air Force is coming off of a loss to San Jose State, but they did down the mighty Merrimack Warriors in week 1. So that might
shut the fuck up. We are not talking about Merrimack. We are not ever saying that
waiting
ever
for
again.
someone to do that.
Well, in all frankness, though, Air Force looks like piss this year. So I mean, like you would hope if they don't win that game next week, he might be gone right then and there.
Sure.
Yeah, Baylor, Colorado, BYU. It's kind of like you go through all these Big 12 schedules, and I really feel it feels like almost anybody in that conference can beat anybody else. I don't know if I've ever seen a conference like this top to bottom, this balanced top to bottom in my life. So you can look at it and say, "Oh, you can win that game. You can win that game." You can talk yourself into saying you're going to have an 11-1 season really easily for like all of these teams.
It's true. As the Boll Weevil
Nobody's
here,
terrible, but nobody's very good either.
as the Boll Weevil here, do you guys think most of the recruit portal engaged in tampering to get players? As Luganville says, there was a great comment the other day. I heard someone say, if someone wants to go somewhere, all that school has to do is just literally get in touch with their agent. They don't have to directly get involved with the player. They can just do it through the agent. So technically, then at that point, it's not tampering. It's like a third party contact.
So something really interesting happened that I didn't even know could happen. This did not happen in football, but I guess this probably has some future implications for how this is going to work. So I found a couple of wrestlers transfer to Iowa without ever entering the portal. A couple real high level guys. They never entered the portal. They were never contacted. But they just enrolled at Iowa. They just all of a sudden applied and enrolled. So I don't even know if this portal thing is sort of a necessary bureaucratic procedure anymore. I don't know.
That's the comment I heard was like literally like the school or whatever could contact their agent and say, "Hey, by the way, we're interested in you," and then they could be like, "Okay, I'll go in the portal because I know where I'm going." So is it tampering? I don't know. Yeah, it's almost like I don't know. Yeah, it's a very weird situation.
Yeah, I mean it really doesn't seem like there's actually a whole lot of really codified guidance around this. It's just sort of been it's just sort of been customary the past couple of years. Okay, there's this portal, and once the guy goes into the portal, then you can contact them. I don't know that any of this stuff has actually been written in the bylaws. There are actually guidelines dictating it. It's just gentlemen's agreements. Like, this is the way we do things.
Yeah, there's no bylaws for this.
If there is, has anybody seen them? Because I sure haven't.
Because we love Merrimack. Now stop talking about Merrimack.
Jason.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a disgusting game?
Not yet.
Illinois over Kansas.
That's not.
It was a pretty ugly game. It was a pretty ugly game.
Iowa State over Iowa, both of those games.
Oh, yeah. What happened to the vaunted Iowa offense?
I love that Iowa State game.
I'm just saying, Erica's not here, so I can talk shit about Iowa right now.
Hmm.
You can talk shit when she's here too.
That's true too.
She might not like it. She does take particular. She does take a little offense to her. She is protective of her Hawks.
Yeah.
Stop it, chat. Stop it.
Yeah. The Bison are going extinct next week. Okay.
What was it that thing you said? Jail sets.
Yeah, jail sexed. Yeah.
That's a new word, jail sets.
Eric is not in jail having sex. Stop, guys.
No, I was talking about the Merrimack or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, stop it.
But anyway, that Iowa State game, that was a huge one. State outscored Iowa 20-6 in the second half. That game was a field goal. That was huge.
The game was over. I was floored when I turned back and saw that Iowa State had won. I was like, what the hell happened?
Same here. I was like this.
Fast.
I always got this. And then it was like, what happened? What
It's bad.
what happened?
When did you turn the game off? When did you turn Iowa State off?
I mean, Iowa was up like 16-0 or whatever.
You don't turn off a freaking rivalry game off. Don't do that.
No. I mean, I've watched a lot of these Iowa State games. I didn't watch any of this yet.
You don't turn a rivalry game off. That's just things you don't do.
These are always the ugliest games I've ever watched in my life. They're usually pretty close, pretty competitive, but they're brutal to watch.
What did we
This looks to me like a typical Iowa State game. Like, just weird goofiness happens. A team gives the game away. I mean, it usually is decided by like a point or two.
Yeah, I'm just some games turn off. Right now, do not, and I repeat, do not turn off rivalry games, because there's gonna be a moment and you're like, holy crap, I missed it. Don't be doing that to yourself, man.
Yeah, man, that is a particularly intense in-state rivalry.
I love.
I know. I mean, like, yeah, that state is very much divided. Like, there are just like, if you're there aren't even a lot of like family. They'll excommunicate family members for marrying a fan of the rival program. It is they don't have any professional sports or much of anything else going on in that state. So this is something they really cling to. And the interesting thing about this game is that Iowa State used to give Iowa like all sorts of fits when Iowa State was trash. Iowa State was awful, like from like 2002 to like whenever Matt Campbell got there. Like, they were horrible during whatever that period was. But I think they had like a 500 record against Iowa. And then since Campbell's gotten there, I think he's only beaten Iowa twice now. I think this is his second win.
And it's been both at Connect Stadium.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like why was Iowa State was doing better against Iowa when Iowa State was awful? Now that Iowa State's got a legitimate program, they rarely beat the Hawkeyes.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it's because Iowa State has made Iowa their Super Bowl in a way.
Is it bicolor or bipolar corn? There is a difference.
What?
David says Iowa's divided, yellow corn or bicolor corn. I said yellow corn or bipolar corn.
I don't know. But I hope they have a rematch in a bowl game this year. That would be pretty awesome. I want to see something like that. Hey, what can I sucker rivalry rematches?
We should start getting in all the Sunday night guys now that football's over.
Well, yeah. Well, making sure I'm doing is watching the NFL game on Peacock. But no worries, don't have to sound. We're not going to get Voice College Football in trouble with NBC. Not on my watch.
What? You're watching on Peacock? You don't have NBC?
Yeah, I'm watching the game on Peacock on my iPad.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have the volume on because, like, oh, man, Matt Stafford going up against his old team. And, the line won in overtime 26-20. Oh, they're pretty happy.
Yep. Just got over.
They're going to be singing I Just Can't Wait to Be King tonight.
And they were 30 minutes away from it last year.
Well, they could be kings the NFC. And they
Don't get TJ Ronan in here talking about that second half.
well,
JT Ronan. Yeah. So
like this is an early prediction for me, but I think that the Lions can win the NFC. I mean, I really believe it. Hell, I'll take it a step further and say they win it all in 2024.
I think they can possibly compete in the NFC, but
party down Woodward.
Patty Mahomes is pretty hard to beat.
Well, I mean, Patty Mahomes can't get beat. I mean, it can happen. Bengals or Lions, Ravens for the Super Bowl, honestly.
Bengals. Hard thinking about them as a contender after today, but
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened there, Sean?
We've seen Joe Burrow not have a good week in week 1 and week 2.
Oh, they're always trash in week 1. I mean, like every single year. It's comical how bad they started the season. I don't know. I honestly think Burrow may have never won a week 1 game in his NFL career. It's possible.
Yeah. There's not that many week 1 wins, but I mean, that's okay. It doesn't matter what you do in week 1. It matters what you've done since then. Because you can rebound nicely, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And always remember, Bengals fans, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
But
this is a big year for the Bengals though, because they've got Higgins. T. Higgins is certainly going to be gone after this year, and they've got kind of exploding cap numbers with Burrow and Chase. So the window to actually get this done is probably shutting fairly quickly. So.
Yeah, they got to get Chase signed.
yeah,
I'm just surprised he doesn't play all practice at all the entire preseason and then comes out and plays in the first game.
Yeah.
What college football game were we on? We were on Iowa State, correct?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I know, like our friend Erica at the Voice College Football has often said she's not too crazy about the Iowa State rivalry for Iowa, and there are some Iowa fans that are right with it, but it's kind of a mixed bag between Iowa Nation. Now, I love the idea of both of them playing every year. I do like the idea of Iowa having like another Power 5 game along with Iowa State, but I mean, whatever you want to do, just keep that Iowa State game. What do you guys think of the Cy-Hawk Trophy every year?
I don't think much of it at all. I'm like, let them have their fun. Let them have their fun. I know it's a big deal in the state. Personally, I find the games to be an absolute train wreck, and just let me know who wins at the which side won by 2 points or 1 point.
Hey,
And
Sean,
go ahead.
Is Ohio State a rivalry?
It is not. It is not a rivalry. No.
So, Spaz, your short answer is you're comparing Iowa State to Ohio State?
That's yeah, pretty much.
I think it's kind of nuts. I think it's kind of nuts that the state of Iowa has 2 power teams. I mean, like, how? The state of Ohio has 1.
Yeah.
Kind of now that there's 2. Now with Cincinnati in the last couple of years, I guess 2. I don't know. But
that's even suspect at best.
yeah, I mean,
Cincinnati.
Iowa. Yeah. Ohio one major team. Iowa 2. How does that make any sense?
I don't know. It just does, I guess.
Yeah.
Iowa State, I think it's gotten very relevant since Matt Campbell has become head coach. I mean, we even saw like College Game Day go to town 2019. We saw Iowa win a tight one that year. 2021, we saw Iowa win another tight one. College went the town Ames, Iowa. 2022, Iowa State won a tight one. 2023, saw former president go to Iowa State. And this year we saw Iowa State have a tight fashion matchup. And who knows? Maybe next year we could see Bend Noon Kickoff go to Iowa State.
Are we still really on Iowa?
You're really gonna tell me you don't like that game? Well, to each their own. But I mean, let's get to that game that had.
I will say this about this as far as like actual football implications. Mark Rogers, who some of you may be familiar with, claimed that this was the most important game of the week.
Yeah,
and I could definitely see that being the case for Iowa, because I mean, like, they're not probably very unlikely to win the Big Ten, and probably a very long stretch to even make the championship game. So in order for them to get in that large bid, you know, they have to build something on a resume. They can't afford a chink in it. I don't think it was necessarily all that important for Iowa State, because I think Iowa State's path to the playoff runs strictly through the Big 12. I mean, the Big 12 probably gets one team in, maybe two, and maybe this could help them.
Well, they're going to get the champion in, win, lose, or draw.
Right.
Large team, it all depends on how you're doing in non-conference play.
Yeah, still, any non-con win is always helpful. It's a better record. So, I mean, it's still helpful to Iowa State.
But I mean, if Iowa State's only path to getting in is winning the Big 12, then this is not a really important game anyway.
Well, it's a rivalry, so it's always important.
Yeah, it is. That for sure, but...
Well, and honestly, I think you're going to need like 70-point wins. Like, anybody that watches the NFL, they remember watching the Packers, Cardinals, Panthers, Saints, where it's we need more points. But then that came to a screeching halt with Giants, Cowboys. I wonder if we're going to see a lot of at-large teams try to score more points. Like, we see one team trying to get a touchdown in with 15 seconds left to go, and it's 63-20.
Maybe. But people have talked about that before with the 4 team, you know, getting the 4 seed, how to impress at the last second. Yes, and DeReal, I'm sorry, it's not basketball season yet. You have to deal with Kentucky football still.
you have to deal with another overrated transfer who can't really play football.
Called Kentucky, South Carolina yesterday.
Yeah.
He threw out the puberty voice for that game.
The Fighting Beamers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I'll just say get ready for Devin Brown as your starting quarterback next year, DeReal.
Well, and
it's happening. Devin Brown, starting quarterback at Kentucky.
Well, Kentucky was 10.5-point favorites, and they got Carolina.
Yeah, they got killed.
Sean, though, let's talk about that. I mean, Kyle McCord looked better than good in 2 weeks at Syracuse than he did ever at Ohio State.
Well, I got to ask.
Yep, I mean, like, good for him. I mean, he went through a lot at Ohio State. He deserves to have some success. We'll see how far it goes. I mean, it's early in the season, but you know, happy for him. He looks good. He showed I saw a little bit of that game. He showed a hell of a lot more like passion and fire than he ever did last season at Ohio State. So, hopefully he's found a spot, then he can succeed.
Well, I mean, he's not having to deal with you're not good at this and you're not good enough at Columbus. Where it's like you go 8-4, 9-3 at Syracuse, you're gonna have a statue built after you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just because he went through that last year and he might not have been ready, psychologically or emotionally, doesn't mean he's a soft kid or that we all have to grow in our own different ways. And don't hold anything against him. He's a talented guy. He was a highly rated prospect for a reason, and I think Syracuse hit the jackpot with Fran Brown, hiring Fran Brown as their coach. I don't know how long he's going to be there. I think that's a name to keep an eye on. He'll be a big time coach.
Yeah,
A coach at a big time program probably fairly soon.
Well, yeah, he was right hand man to Kirby Smart. So I mean, at some point we could see, because like how anybody that was a Nick Saban assistant automatically got the job just because they work for Nick Saban. We're seeing the same thing with Kirby Smart. If you work for Kirby, you're gonna get a job automatically.
I would love to see him stay around Syracuse for at least a little bit, maybe like 4 or 5 years. It's probably a stretch, but he's a guy from the Northeast, and the Northeast has just been a dead zone for college football in the last 20, 25 years. It'd be nice to see something positive. Same with Bill O'Brien will probably stay. I think he's at his last job at Boston College. I don't think he'll have another one. So hopefully the two of them can build good programs there, because those two programs were really, really strong back in the 90s.
Well, and what if Penn State was to open up, right? Like they decide they're either sick hire James Franklin or James Franklin decides he's leaving. One or the other happens. Will we be seeing
I would call Fran Brown tomorrow and offer him the job.
For all those of you wondering about Notre Dame, this is why we were waiting.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this guy?
No, we were waiting on Will.
Oh, no. Wrong guy.
We're waiting on Will, but Will's a little big baby, so we're just going to go ahead and destroy Notre Dame because they suck.
Yeah.
His partner in crime, Jeffrey's here, so.
I don't know what happened to Notre Dame after knocking off Texas A&M.
They ran into Northern Illinois.
You're going to turn around and lose to a MAC team that's never beaten a top 10 opponent ever. I feel really bad for Will. That's all I can say. I know he was pumped after the A&M game, thinking that there's a really good shot that they could go undefeated with the schedule they have. Even if they slip up, lose the USC final game of the season or something like that, or drop to Louisville or Georgia Tech, it's all good. 11-1. Northern Illinois. This is why nobody trusts Notre Dame. They are not trustworthy.
Yeah, I was on that show with you and Will a couple weeks ago where he was just pumped sky high before his trip. He was excited to go on his trip, and when he came back, it was going to be great Notre Dame football, and bam, comes the wrecking crew of Northern Illinois.
That's literally why I picked Texas A&M in week 1. I didn't trust Notre Dame. I'm like, they're not going to get it done in College Station. No. But they get that win, and I'm like, okay, Will, you got me on board here. We didn't even pick the Northern Illinois game. We didn't even pick the game because we thought they'd win.
No, that's 100% fair. At the first half, I actually watched that game almost from start to finish, and I was like, all right, Notre Dame's just kind of sleepwalking, little hangover from Texas A&M. Halftime, they'll be good to go. No, no.
That game, I was so upset for Will. Honestly. I was watching game on my computer, watching on the Peacock app. Oh, I was hurling some GDs at Notre Dame. I'm like, win one for Will. Win one for Will. And they didn't.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
I love how Jason says Northern Illinois is undefeated against Bama. I mean, if Northern Illinois played Alabama every year, that would not be the case.
It's yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have a soft spot for Notre Dame now just because Freeman being there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I have family that went. He's from right where I'm from in Ohio, and he went to Ohio State. He went to Ohio State. Was a defensive coordinator at Cincinnati.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of ties, a lot of vested interest in hoping he succeeds. Not to mention, I actually, like him as a person. But yeah, that this is rough. I mean, like Notre Dame's.
They do this all the time, though. That's the thing.
Every time you get your hopes up for them, every time
I know,
they do something like this. I mean,
they do it all the time, Sean. They do it all the time. I mean, literally, I have people that I ask, which team do you think chokes the most, and they're like Notre Dame. I mean, they used to not be this way as a program. For the last 20 years, this is just who they are. They always fall apart.
Yeah. We'll just go ahead and lose to UConn, Marshall, Northern Illinois, Temple,
Stanford team.
Like you know what? We'll win a good 80% of our games, but we'll lose games that you just wouldn't think are possible.
And again,
right now, Penn State is more consistent than Notre Dame at taking care of business.
Well, Penn State's really good against teams.
They don't choke most of the time. I mean, except when they're in big games. Notre Dame, they're doing against anybody.
They just always lose to teams that are better than them, always.
Yeah, like Ohio State and Michigan recently, but then Notre Dame chokes against Stanford and
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Again, double and added insult yesterday was outside of the. I mean, it counts because it's a stat of the thing because they tried the 62-yard field goal. Or whatever. That was the second block field goal by Northern Illinois. How do you allow 2 block field goals in one game?
That shouldn't have happened. And the thing is, even if Notre Dame won the game with those field goals, or even just one of them, it still would have looked bad. It would have been terrible. It would on paper, but they would. I mean, whether you believe a win is a win, at least they would have won. But yeah, I agree with keep chopping though. Penn State almost always beats the teams they should, and that's the sign of a great program, not an elite program, but a great program. Notre Dame just can't take care of business. That's all they have to do is just beat everybody that they're better than. If that was the case, they should have been undefeated this season, technically.
Oh yeah,
and they couldn't do it. Even 11-1, most people would have given a pass. And now, I mean, could they still go undefeated the rest of the way? Maybe, but I doubt it. After this, I just doubt it. I don't see it happening.
But here's the thing: right now, they have what kind of margin for error do they have now to get into the playoffs? They can't win a conference.
None.
No. I'm sorry. I agree with most pundits. I'm sorry if you're that favored by that much and you lose at home to a team that's never beaten the top 10 team ever, and you never had. I'm sorry, you're out. You're not going to hit the playoffs. You should not.
If they go 11-1,
sorry, Will. Sorry.
I wish Will was here, but I don't blame him on why he's not. I don't blame him.
Well,
he knew he was going to get torn apart.
It's sad. I really hate it for him. I mean, Will's awesome. I mean, he's an awesome guy. He loves Notre Dame. I'm not a big Notre Dame guy, but I pull for him a little bit. But unless they're playing teams I like. But I mean that I can't defend this. I can't defend this in any way, shape, or form other than this is what Notre Dame does. This was just more humiliating than most times.
It's like Notre Dame.
What they always do.
It would be like Notre Dame versus Indiana. You're like, Will, best of luck to you today. Notre Dame, suck it.
Yeah, Indiana probably wouldn't win, but hey, if Notre Dame had a performance like that, Indiana would win.
Well, I was going to say that, I've seen Charlie Brown on the pitcher's mound be more accurate than Notre Dame as double-digit dogs in the past 2 to 3 years. I mean, you not be losing the freaking Marshall, 3-win Stanford, and
And the thing is, like I said that year that the Marshall loss was the better loss of the two that season. Because everybody's like, oh, they lost to Marshall. Marshall was better than Stanford that year.
They were. Stanford was atrocious.
Here's the best part. If you are a big-time college football quarterback that is ready to go to the NFL, the best way to kill your NFL career, transfer to Notre Dame.
Damn it, Spaz, you stole that from me. I told you that last night. I said people got to stop transferring to Notre Dame.
Sam Hartman collapsed. What was that?
Stealing my ideas.
Sam Hartman was so good at weight, and he collapsed.
Going to the draft.
Yeah, Sam Hartman was never that great though. He succeeded.
Great, but he got worse. Though.
He succeeded in a really gimmicky. That was a really gimmicky offense that required like a really specific skill set that he actually had.
And what's Riley Leonard's excuse for yesterday?
I don't know. I mean, Riley Leonard, I don't know.
3 yards and 2 interceptions. I mean, that's bad.
Sam Hartman would have at least gone in probably the 5th, 6th round, and then he went to undrafted.
That's the point. Like, you're supposed to go to a better program to improve your draft stock, do well on a bigger stage. And the thing is that he went from he was going to be drafted to he didn't get drafted. And Riley Leonard, I mean, his stock was high last year at Duke. It was high after 1 week, kind of, but not anymore.
It was just pitiful.
Oh, man.
I know a friend of the Voice of College Football, Trojans Conquest co-host, and USC Trojans Wire editor Matt Zimick wrote an article about how the questions about Lincoln Riley should have gone to Marcus Freeman because of games like this. And I know that I said something yesterday on Ats where I'm just like, if you want us to know that progress is moving forward at South Bend, Coach Freeman, now would be a good time. Because if Notre Dame wins out the rest of the season or they're 10-2, which I'm not seeing either or happen, then there's a hot seat coming from Marcus Freeman.
That comment from Uncle Rico is broken.
Sometimes I just can't control myself. I'm like,
I'm sorry, I couldn't either, Ben. Don't take it personally.
There are some comments that just get you.
Reading the chat.
It just brought up all these old photos of last year of Sam Hartman, like on the sideline. It was like, what is he doing? Like, where's his hair?
Just a striking a Last Supper pose right on the. No, I mean, but like this should inform everyone that this is sometimes you just sort of make emotional hires. You make the guys when a coach leaves, you hire the guy that everyone likes, everyone thinks is sharp. It's just the popular guy. It generally doesn't work from inside the staff. It just doesn't work out all that well very often. I mean, it just.
Well, I will say too that like seasons have highs and lows, and sometimes you play better, sometimes you play worse, right? I mean, like Alabama, has had 2 bad performances against South Florida. Better this year. They pulled it out pretty convincingly by the end, but they played horrible. But you have highs and lows. But the thing is with Notre Dame, you can't go from a big road win against a quality opponent
to that. Oh, Jeffrey.
To a frozen
No, I
stream.
think I just got out there. It's a massive knee-jerk reaction, though, to go from a solid road win against a quality opponent to losing to a MAC school on your own field. Like, that's a big swing. Highs and lows all day long in football. It makes sense. We know that. But that shouldn't happen. You can't have this much of a high. And really, week one was just an extension of their offseason. Everyone hyped them up. Most pundits even hyped them up, saying that this Notre Dame team is better than what has been the past 4 or 5 years for Notre Dame. Like, they have more speed, they're better. And then they showcase all that in week one, and then they fall apart in week two. It's just you shouldn't have that big of a swing.
And I mean, going forward, offensively, like they weren't really very good in week one on offense.
No, but you could say the environment week one. But
they were awful on offense. I mean, this week. I mean, going forward, shouldn't you expect them to lose 2 or 3 more games? Like, yes, I mean,
more than likely.
If this is the offense, like, their defense is excellent. It's a top 5 defense in the country, I think.
Well, and I have a question for everybody.
Just do it like this.
Notre Dame decides to rip out all the Band-Aids and go, we're tired of Marcus Freeman. And that's a mighty big if, because this is year 3. Who would they get as a head coach?
I think it's way too early to even ask that question. Not that it's not a good question. It is a good question. You can ask it about any team when their coach is on the hot seat. But I don't think he's on the hot seat yet in any way. But
no,
my go-to answer for any big coaching job.
It's too early to tell.
No, I mean my go-to answer is just probably going to be Fran Brown. The next couple of years for any big coaching job that comes up, and I think that's just going to he's going to be the guy. He's going to be at a big program pretty soon. Especially,
I think Riley Leonard was overrated as a quarterback a bit as well. I don't know if you guys agree with that. I feel like Riley Leonard was a bit overrated, especially as a passer. He's not a fantastic passer.
No, I mean Riley Leonard. Mm-hmm.
They were for the Heisman last year at Duke, and I was like, okay.
He fit that type of system though perfectly. That's kind of the difference. He was really good at Duke. He showed what he can do, but Notre Dame is not like that fit for him, or that or he doesn't have the people around him. One or the other. I'm not sure what it is, but you have to then also point to Marcus Freeman and go, "This is your job." At the end of the day, you're the coach.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you said about Sam Hartman and the gimmicky offense at Wake. And with Riley Leonard, he fit the offense at Duke. It's like Notre Dame's getting quarterbacks that fit a different system better than the system they run. Instead of getting a quarterback that fits their system perfectly. They need to get a quarterback. Whatever Marcus Freeman, what he wants to do, he just needs to get a quarterback that can do what he wants. Perfectly, because it's better to have a quarterback that's kind of average but is perfect for your system versus having a very elite quarterback but you're running him in the wrong system and then he's garbage because of it. You have to put the quarterback
that's why I feel fantastic about Will Howard this year at Ohio State. I think he's exactly the right quarterback to run the team this year. He's a great quarterback to run a Chip Kelly offense. Do I think he's got like a 9-figure deal waiting for him in the NFL? No, but like he's the right guy for this team in this moment and in this offense.
How did we get to Ohio State when we were on Notre Dame?
No, we're talking about quarterback fits, the transfers.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention, Spaz.
I am just confused for a second.
We're not.
I get it.
I was like, pay attention, Spaz.
I was thinking we were going to hear, God damn it, Spaz. I guess not.
Hey, Jackson's got a higher counter than Ben right now.
I do try to watch my mouth on the show once in a while. Mark doesn't care anymore. He gave up on trying to tell me to censor myself long ago. As John had to ask earlier, he's like, 3 years. Yes, everyone. Again, this is the 3rd season of the show.
Yes.
It's easier to run a show when you're being yourself versus having to basically be a different personality to, keep it PG. The thing is like some people can just do it. Man, their personality is to be, PG, but some people, the rated R way is their way to go.
That's
You can't censor yourself.
And it's especially important to Jeffrey.
Two words for you.
No, that's why I run my own live shows on my channel. That way I get it all out of my system.
Being PG is especially sensitive to Jeffrey because he was just recently allowed to go to PG-13 movies. So
I've been able to watch those for a while.
To the high school level.
Oh boy!
He's left the middle school.
I don't think anybody here thinks I'm in middle school. I don't think so.
You could almost pass for a middle schooler. I'm not even lying.
At least fresh. I mean, definitely freshman.
Yeah.
He's like, I hate everyone here. Why did I do this?
Hey, I came on the show. It's worth it.
Well, so and me and Spaz are here. So Spaz, let's go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off from the heart attack that we had last night.
Yeah, sure.
At least I'll say this: we gave the most entertaining game maybe of the weekend.
Yes, we did.
Not in a good way. Not in a good way. Jeez.
It had to be on Peacock, so unless you wanted to lock yourself into watching Boise State, Oregon for 3 hours.
Oregon is lucky to be 2-0. That's all I can say. Oregon is very lucky to be 2-0, and I'm just surprised that they're not playing better than they are. I thought Oregon was going to be really good. Maybe they still can be, but I'm just shocked that they've struggled as hard as they have these past few games. It's insane.
A couple of small things. It's nothing major, really. It's just
the O-line is pretty big. They did fix the O-line in the second half quite a bit, but that first half was still crap. Still shit.
Defense has to get better.
Well, against Genty, I don't blame them for giving up. They gave up one big run, and that put his yardage up so high. But
yeah,
that man is a beast. We've said that on the Oregon show. We're like, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be a.
Hey, that's why I shouted him out last week's show, saying that he broke the Boise State rushing record or whatever. In the week 1 game, he's unbelievable.
400 yards in 2 weeks.
That one play, I think, like literally every player on Oregon missed a tackle on that play.
I don't know what defense they were.
Well, he went right through the line and was gone.
I don't know what defense. I don't know what defense they
didn't
were
even
playing.
block it that well. That was one of the most insane runs I've ever seen.
Well, this whole game was another just what the absolute hell. Oregon's moving down the field to take control. Herbert never has fumbled. He fumbles, 70-yard touchdown. Bad snap, Dylan Gabriel fumbles as he tries to just save yardage. And he fumbles and gives. I'm like, what are we doing? Just the epitome of like, here's how you kill yourself as a team.
I love Anthony's comment. Maybe it's the 750,000 uniform combinations.
No, this year it's only like 40.
Hey, that's cutting back. That's good.
Are we doing costume changes at halftime, or uniform changes? Yeah.
I do like this one. You know, Genty is bigger than half of the Big Ten backs. Easily.
Yeah.
He squats over 600. He squats over 600 pounds.
He carried one of Oregon's biggest defensive backs on his back for the last 2 yards of one of those touchdowns.
He's better than any running back outside of Columbus.
That dude,
so
is a beast.
He would probably be your third best running back.
I don't think Keith Choppin will agree.
He would eat Ohio State.
He's been high on the Rutgers running backs, but
it's like what I will say the one thing is
I think the Ohio State running backs are better than the Rutgers ones, but Keep Chopping will say that the Rutgers ones are just as good.
It's one of those things too. It's again, it was like it's one of those weird games where you have that kind of like, as they would say, like this curse against this team. Again, Oregon had never beaten Boise State, even in the Chip Kelly days and stuff. Or, Bellotti, then Chip Kelly, and then even when Cristobal took over, they'd never beaten Boise State. So it's kind of like and you saw what Boise State did last year after they got rid of Andy Avalos.
Yeah.
So they're on that run. So Boise State is definitely not a bad team. That was just
pundits have picked Boise State to make the 12-team college football. A couple of them even have them as the 12 seed facing a 5 seed Oregon in the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
it's more.
You might face them again. Yeah,
Oregon just has to stop shooting themselves in the foot, like the stupid penalties, the holds, those 2 turnovers. That game would have been not even like it was.
It would have been
a few of those things had not been there.
We had taken complete control of that game until that pass to Patrick Herbert.
I think the biggest problem for Oregon, it was just the fact that they barely beat Idaho in week 1. So then when they barely beat Boise State in week 2, it just looks bad. I mean, obviously the win over Boise State was more impressive because Boise's a much better team than Idaho. But it's back-to-back weeks of 2 teams Oregon's way better than, and they barely won. It just makes them look bad, especially the Idaho game, but it's just back-to-back.
Idaho
that's the biggest problem. Like if they blow out Idaho, but then barely beat Boise, it still wouldn't look as bad.
Yeah. But Oregon can properly claim the Idaho State Championship after 2 weeks, and then maybe the Oregon State Championship after this week.
Well, and actually now too, the Vandals can now claim the championship of Wyoming because they beat Wyoming this last weekend too. Idaho Vandals beat Wyoming.
In Wyoming.
Wyoming is really bad this year. They don't have.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they are. I'm just.
They're really.
Yeah. And I will say there's an active part of the eastern half of Oregon is actively trying to secede from the state of Oregon.
Oh, they've been trying that for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And can we stop knocking Dylan Gabriel? He's just as effective as Bo Nix in the passing department. He was 18 of 21 last night for over 200 yards and 1 touchdown and no interceptions. He managed a perfect game, but there was just some horrendous offensive line issues still. And our number 1 offensive transfer tackle is still out. He could have played this week. Dan Lanning is being more passive this year than he is aggressive. He's seeing the long haul. He's seeing the 16, 17, 18 games versus 12 games, and he's like, okay, I know you can play, but I'm going to sit you anyways. I'm only playing 2 deep at all positions darn near. We've seen our third string, our number 3 running back for 1 carry, and we have only saw like 3, maybe 4 of our 10 receivers we have, and only 1 quarterback.
I think the biggest reason why people are just disappointed with Dylan Gabriel with the stats is because of the amount of yards that he would put up in games at UCF and Oklahoma. He would throw for 400 plus yards a game on a regular basis. He's not doing that right now, and it's mostly because of the Oregon offense, like you said. It's being run differently, but it for most people that are just not paying attention to the games, because trust me, most people did not watch either of those games. They just look at the stats and like Dylan Gabriel's underperforming. He's doing all right. He's doing just fine. It's just that the stats are very underwhelming compared to what. And again, it's only Oklahoma and UCF.
It's only 2 games. This is only the second game, but I with Spaz, I agree, and we talked about it last night with the Oregon show. I had an amazing 12:45 a.m. post game show for me. You can tell Lanning's a little more conservative this year already. So far, look at the 4th downs. They're not even trying. 3rd and 14, what does he do? He runs the ball, knowing they're not going to get it, just so he can punt. I'm like, you didn't even try a screen? Wow. He got booed last night for that.
I mean,
Austin Stadium booed him for that play call.
yeah. I mean, I do think for Oregon to really elevate, they're going to have to be like a little bit more aggressive, like attacking the ball down the field.
Well, they're not going to beat Ohio State if they don't try to throw down the field because Penn State, look what they did last year. They could have had a shot to beat Ohio State if they didn't throw it downfield. So Oregon's going to have to be more aggressive if they're going to win the big games.
And that's part of the concern with bringing Dylan Gabriel in. He's like, he's a system. He's kind of a West Coast, timing and rhythm thrower. He's not a guy you want to like, hey, you know what? Deliver it 40 yards down the pike. Like, that's not his strength. He doesn't have that skill set in him. I don't think he has it at all. Like,
he had a 67-yard bomb down the sideline to Evan Stewart in the first quarter.
I'd have to see that, but I've seen a lot of Dylan Gabriel football, and it's, he's more Joe Montana than he is Patrick Mahomes.
He was very impressive at UCF. I know it's a smaller level.
He's a very good quarterback, and he gets the most out of his abilities. But he's not a big arm guy at all.
He can be because UCF
that's what I'm saying. He threw the ball 80 yards, like 60, 70, big plays.
People forget how good he was.
I know people have forgotten how good he is. It's insane because I watched all his games at UCF because I enjoyed watching him. He's incredible. He's not as good as I guess some people hyped him up, but he's in a different scheme, different school, different conference. It's a lot different.
I think it is, and I think it is. It's different scheme. Will Stein maybe is cautious about the O-line because obviously the O-line has been trash to give him any time to set up these deep shots.
And when he's got time,
and we asked this before the season. Changing from Bo Nix, which was the most experienced, Dylan Gabriel can become the most experienced technically in college football. But changing from Bo Nix as a right-hander to a left-hander, is that going to make it somewhat more complicated? You think, it's just flip the offense. It's not quite that simple. There's still some sort of issue going on there, maybe with some of these plays.
I think it's causing some of the offensive line issues just because they're still trying to figure out which way they're, pass blocking and things like that are compared to what they've been used to. Most of that front line on Oregon is junior and seniors that have played. So it's like for Johnny Cornelius and Josh Connerly and even Charlie to now all of a sudden they got to change their whole complete blocking schemes because they're dealing with a left-handed quarterback versus a right-hander. So they're going to more loop to the left versus loop to the right and things like that. So they're still trying to figure all that out.
Maybe and we brought that up, but I brought that up before. I didn't know if it was going to be a huge deal. Stein made it sound like it's not a big deal, but you don't know the ins and outs necessarily as a OC of trying to do that with protections and stuff like that in the O-line.
Well, I know that people had a lot of questions about Oregon not looking so good against Idaho and last night against Boise State and probably next week against Oregon State. Do you think they're saving all their best stuff for Ohio State on October 12th? Honestly, that's what I'm thinking. But what do you guys think?
I think they do it. I think Will Stein. I think they do what they do. Like, I mean, they're not concealing anything. I mean, it's just like he's been around long enough. He's been in that Oregon offense.
LW, maybe they didn't realize.
No, but
I just think Oregon's struggling right now. I mean, they're just not as good as people were expecting, and we'll see if they get better. They're not meeting the expectations that were set for them. That's the thing. Oregon, Notre Dame, two teams that had massive expectations coming into the season. Massive. Like, people were picking Oregon to win the whole thing.
Well, I know.
That's
Whoa.
part of
How dare you even compare Oregon to Notre Dame? We're 2-0. They're 1-1.
I'm not
They
saying
lost to a
that. I'm
MAC
just,
team.
you know what I mean,
dare
though.
you. How dare
Oregon
you.
was a field goal away.
How dare you? I'm done with
No
this.
way.
I'm done with this.
I'm just saying that Oregon was hyped by a lot more than they normally are, and they're not meeting the expectation. If Oregon was ranked 20th right now and they did what they just did, no one would really care. It's because people thought Oregon. Some people said they were the best team in the Big Ten. Like I said, or could win it all. Didn't two people on ESPN pick them to win it all, if I recall? So, yeah, that's the problem. You're not supposed to beat Boise State by 3 when you're the team that's picked to win it all by some people. That's all it is. That's it.
I mean,
like, Oregon's better than Notre Dame, but they're not looking great. Is all it is.
Ask Washington last year what they went through. They went through the same thing because they were barely beating teams they should have beat all year long. And what did they do? They went to the national title game. Just saying. By barely squeaking out wins against Arizona and Utah with no Cam Rising and barely beating us twice. And
I think the problem was for Washington is how their offense was designed. I mean, when they were on, they were on. And when they were off, I mean, that Oregon State game was the best example. How are they supposed to do well in a massive rainstorm? It just isn't possible. You know, like their offense, it had to be perfect weather. Timing was good. The pocket was good. I mean, if there was any pressure on Penix, it was bad. If the weather was bad, it was no good. It had to be perfect for Washington in a lot of situations. That's why it's better to be able to run and pass on a consistent basis. I know Washington can run the ball some, but their offense was 85% pass. You have to be balanced, and Washington was not. And I think that's what led to a lot of close games. Look at Alabama in some of their best years ever. I mean, they destroy people every game for the most part. There's an occasional game, but not Washington doing it game after game after game after game. Plus, Washington didn't have as much talent either. I mean, technically, they weren't supposed to be that good, but Penix found a way, and DeBoer did a great job. But I agree with you, but I think most of it was just the way that their system was not designed to be able to win games big every time.
Hey, don't you disrespect Vanderbilt. They are 2-0. They might go bowling this year.
Well, Hamas Hero, who I see in the chat, was talking about Desmond Howard being one of the two guys at ESPN picking Oregon to win it all. So he's successful picking his nose, can't pick out his own clothes, can't hold that against Oregon. I always see him as the one that A&M to win it all 2022. I mean, to me, he's kind of like the Jim Cramer of sports analysis.
I just don't see how he could honestly even believe that pick. If he believed it, he's crazy.
I mean, and when we talk as Oregon fans, we're always like, we're more like, wait, people are actually picking up. Wait, what the hell? That's weird. That's never happened before, so it was more of like a shock to us. So we're like, all right, this is either good or a curse. I'm going with the curse theory now. That we're jinxed. We're absolutely jinxed. Thanks,
not as
Desmond
jinxed
Howard.
as Notre Dame.
Thanks,
though.
Howard.
Yeah.
Desmond Howard picking somebody to win it all is like Jim Cramer picking a stock. Whatever you do the opposite of what those guys.
Well, I mean, it is a good economy because, like you said, Jackson, you just do the opposite of, and you're going to win every time. He still helps you.
Absolutely. I love the good like Insta-fade people.
Yeah.
Joel Klatt picks games. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay. You picked Utah. I'll take Colorado this game. Yeah.
But couple games I've had on my mind was like Tennessee, North Carolina State. One
blowout.
North Carolina State cannot win.
Well, okay, Jackson, you cut out there. We didn't hear that.
Here, yeah, and another one was Cincinnati pissing it away against Pittsburgh.
Oh, shut up! Hey, mute him now. I don't need to hear about this.
Well, I mean,
I will say here with Alex's comment,
No.
do not pick Auburn in a game where they're playing a supposedly garbage football team, right? Or a team that doesn't have any notoriety at all. Auburn doesn't try. They don't try. Look at them in the bowl game against Maryland last year. Look at them against New Mexico State. But then look at them against Alabama. That's Auburn. Auburn cannot play well against teams that they're better than because they don't try. That's their problem. They do not try.
if you put Alabama, Georgia at Jordan-Hare as their schedule,
that's their game. That's the game where they give it 110% and they look like a top 15 team in America. But then they play I'm not saying Cal's garbage, but they should have beat Cal, and they didn't.
You can say that.
Last year they beat Cal at Cal by 3 or 7.
Yeah, and that's because Cal's field goal kicker missed like 4 field goals in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So even then,
everyone saw that as like a death knell for Auburn. Like, how do you play Cal when you beat them by like one score?
They lost to New Mexico State, and then they almost beat Alabama last year. And I know people say Alabama, they weren't as good. They beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. They had a chance to win it all. Milroe fumbled. So I would say Alabama was still pretty darn good. New Mexico State beat Auburn. Auburn should have beat Alabama. That's not how football should work, but that's Auburn. That's just the way they roll. If they gave the same effort they gave against Alabama last year against Cal the other day or yesterday and against New Mexico State, they win both those games. They beat New Mexico State by 40 and they beat Cal by 25 points.
And if they gave the same effort against Alabama they gave against New Mexico State,
it's an effort problem.
They would have had a mercy rule. They would have been running 10-minute running clock in the second half.
it was just pitiful.
I just don't know why you don't try. I mean, I know some people probably just think Auburn sucks, but I don't think that's the case. I do not think that Auburn sucks as a football team. We've seen when they play great teams that they can be really good. They can be really competitive, and they actually are legitimately solid. But they don't do that every single game. And Texas A&M is very similar. When they beat Alabama, then they lost Mississippi State the week after. They're both those teams are very similar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When your program's being run by complete charlatans like Hugh Freeze and Jimbo Fisher, like just fraud human beings, like that's what you get.
You need Kurt Signetti to show you how to blow out an opponent. Okay, that's what you need right there. Indiana.
Nobody will ever. You will never hear me use the word compare. Kurt Signetti to Hugh Freeze or Jimbo Fisher, except as like sort of like opposite.
Oh, Jimbo Fisher's enjoying that hot tub with 2 women.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher got the most unearned, undeserved money in like the history of college sport or college football, NFL, any sports history. That guy did not deserve all that money.
Whoever initially agreed and signed to that deal from the university, hopefully he was removed from tenure or whatever it is and fired immediately.
Oh, that guy deserves to be fired and never have a job in college sports again because he doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
That's unbelievable, man. I remember when they signed that deal. I'm like, I didn't know Jimbo was going to get fired that quick, but I'm like, this is going to backfire. It's going to backfire.
Yeah, I was like, immediately, it was like 10-year, all money guaranteed. I'm like, are you insane?
Well, I know I was thinking about Pittsburgh a little while ago. Are we ready to see how they're gonna do in the ACC this year? Like next week is another edition of the Backyard Brawl, 2:30 on ABC. Which, let's be honest, that's on Saturday night instead of Georgia Kentucky. I mean, seriously, who wants to see Georgia smack Kentucky 56-0?
Indiana UCLA is a better game than Georgia Kentucky. Okay, it is. At least it's got like some interest.
No. Yeah. You say that, but then Brock Vandegrift's going to like show up with a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to play the game of his life.
We're going to down Kentucky hasn't beaten Georgia since 2009. The last time they've beaten Georgia back-to-back was the last.
Is that real? They haven't beaten them since 2009?
But see, Sean, think about it, though. Kentucky just lost to a South Carolina team that's not great, 31-6.
Yeah,
And
most people were picking Kentucky.
Kentucky would maybe make it interesting against Georgia, but that's the same thing as Auburn. It's the effect of playing a better opponent. You try harder. Because, I mean, if Kentucky played like they did against South Carolina yesterday against Georgia, they lose by 70. I mean, they sucked against South Carolina. I thought Kentucky would win the game because South Carolina struggled against, like, Old Dominion or something. So
no, Kentucky was like a 9-point favorite in this game.
They lost 31-6.
Yeah. Brian,
yeah. I mean, like,
just question. The last time Kentucky's beaten Georgia in consecutive matchups was in 1953 and 1956. 1953 was the last year of the Bear Bryant era at Kentucky. And I believe 1956 was the third year of the Blayton Collier era. Now, would anybody like to know what Blayton Collier did after he was at Kentucky? He was the last coach to bring the Cleveland Browns an NFL title of any kind. Matter of fact, that was in 1964 for the Cleveland Browns. Ever since then, the Browns have been in NFL title games, but never been to a Super Bowl.
Fantastic, Nate. Fantastic trivia there, Jackson.
Well, thank you. That's what Darts for. We're there to teach the teenagers vulgar words and give out some fun facts. You're here to learn something.
And showcase that.
And let's not forget profound, unrelenting advocacy for the Merrimack Warrior football program.
And to showcase that Kentucky is going to roll.
Did suffer a very, very significant loss this week. Go ahead. Jeffrey, what did you say? Jeffrey's talking, isn't he?
That Aaron doing the mess around with them. Oh no! Come on! I'm glad you're learning something, Uncle Rico. We hope to teach everybody some more facts right here on After Dark. But you know, if you love top-notch insider knowledge, hey, let me see. Oh, here we go. Exclusive live streams, watch parties, predictions, betting advice, insider looks, and all of college football. Go to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member at The Voice College Football. And that's not all. With the $9.99 tier, you can become a panel member right here on College Football After Dark, Sunday nights, 9:30 p.m. Central Time, 10:30 Eastern Time, where you can discuss your takes on all of college football and what's your takeaways from the week and the previews for next week. And let's not forget the CFB Bets tier for $99 a month, where you can get the best bets for Mark Rogers, Wager Talks, hey Sean, hey Spaz Kit Kat, Steve Merrill's takes from Wager Talk, especially his under the radar picks, Matt Zemmett's picks from Trojan's Wire, and of course the Michigan's podcast very own Steve Denver, where they all give their top picks of the week in all college football. Plus, would anybody like to know the record of the under the radar picks of Steve Merrill? He is 23-5, and this week's pick was Rutgers -23, and they won by 32. So if you had that game on your parlay, right now, you had a great day, I'm sure. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're doing parlay sheets, always make sure to put Steve Merrill's under the radar pick of the week on that list. You are surely making an investment when you put that game on your list.
Don't even put on the parlay. Just take whatever you're going to bet on the parlay and just put it all on Steve's under the radar pick. That's a ridiculous record. 23-5.
But I always want her to take a look at what Steve Merrill, Matt Zimmett, Steve Dace, and Mark Rogers have to say on the upcoming week. Because I can tell you right now, you're going to get some great picks from those guys.
There ain't shit to pick from this week. It's garbage.
Yeah, it's
next week looks like a crappy week. Does not mean it's going to be. There will be upsets coming.
no. I was saying this. Like I thought the 3:30 window this week. Like I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, that's a complete. It looked awful, didn't it?
I mean, you got Notre Dame, Purdue, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State, and of course the backyard brawl, Pittsburgh, West Virginia. It's famous rivalries galore for college football fans.
I mean, they're great rivalries. Just unfortunate that I don't think a lot of people actually care about them anymore, and that's the sad thing. I mean, especially Oregon State, Washington State, because they got split up and they're not in the same conferences anymore.
Fuck you.
I love all those games, but trust me, I'm talking casuals. We're not casuals. I watch anything. I watch Merrimack UConn, even though the game sucked. I watch anything if it's on TV and it's the only game on. But the casuals, and I don't like that word, but just people that don't watch nothing but big games. They don't like watching anything but big games. They're not going to care about any of those games. None of them.
What if Sean McDonough was calling Pittsburgh, West Virginia? Will that make people care about that game?
Probably no.
You don't want to hear Sean McDonough going, "God," like we do, but the casuals don't. Come on.
That's why the casuals.
Yeah,
I mean,
the casuals have no idea who Sean McDonough is.
yeah, like I know who he is. I know exactly who he is. But I mean, most people they're only going to know Tom Brady.
There isn't a person in America being like, I don't know if I want to watch this game. Sean McDonough's calling. Oh, Sean McDonough's calling. Oh, I gotta show up.
I mean, 2015 BYU Nebraska, 2009 Cincinnati Pittsburgh, 2009 Virginia Tech Nebraska, the 1993 World Series where Joe Carter hit the famous game-winning home run to lead the Blue Jays to repeat the World Series.
Ben, where did you get these stat nerds from?
I don't.
1990
They just showed up.
LCS, where the Braves won the National League, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm hoping Sean McDonough will call some MLB playoffs again. Because if he does, I want it to be the Atlanta Braves, and he's got to bring out the puberty voice for that moment.
The Atlanta Braves aren't going to make the playoffs there, bud.
Well, they're not doing. I said like whenever they make the playoffs. Because I don't know if we're going back this year.
Yeah, the Atlanta Braves are not having a good season.
We look like.
Wait. I'm confused. People still care about baseball?
Yeah, baseball used to be America's sport, and now because football is like infinitely more interesting to watch on TV, nobody cares. It's because baseball as a sport watching on television, it is nowhere near as fun to watch, nowhere near as fun to sit for 3.5 hours as it is to watch a football game. You know, that's the problem. You go to a baseball game, it's epic. It's great. The atmosphere is great. The hot dogs are great. Everything's great. But watching on TV is boring. Like, people have asked me to commentate baseball games, and I'm like, I'm not watching a 3.5 hour game where for the 99% of it, nothing happens.
No. It's great to go to the game because you can sit around and bullshit with your friends and not pay any attention
going
to
the game is excellent.
And drink. I went to a game
I can't
with
do that, Ben. I know,
but I went to a game with LW, Traveling Fools, and stuff here in Houston. It was fun, and I hate baseball. I absolutely hate baseball, like watching on TV. But I tell people the same thing. I can't stand to watch. Like, I will never watch golf on TV, but playing golf is fun. I will never watch it on TV though.
Some sports are just really boring on TV, and they wonder why the ratings are not as good as college football and the NFL. It's just infinitely more interesting to watch. To sit down for 12 hours on a Saturday and just watch the games all day long.
even the quote unquote boring games. At least there's like
I was watching Texas Tech Abilene, the 52-51 game. Okay, that was an interesting game. Both teams sucked, but it was an interesting game.
Thinking about Texas Tech, how about those Cougs absolutely whooping Texas Tech?
Arizona State and Washington State, both were impressive.
Yeah, what about Joey McGuire is
Joe McGuire
is the
God
shine coming off that star a little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit, but not entirely. A little bit, but not entirely. I don't think. I mean, it's still Texas Tech, you know.
I don't.
Of course, I know expectations are wherever they are out there.
Personally, Ben, I don't give a rat's ass if it's in Tijuana, Mexico. Texas Tech, man, like Joey McGuire's start is out. It's over. The honeymoon is gone. Over. It's been this way since that loss to Wyoming last season when they had a
Wyoming was actually good last year, though. They sucked this year.
But we were talking about like teams showing up for big games and then fading in games that they weren't motivated for. They took Oregon to the wire and then the next week lost to Wyoming.
No, they lost to Wyoming and then they took Oregon to the wire because they were overlooking Wyoming even on the road. They were looking at Oregon.
Yeah.
And Wyoming caught them off guard.
I think honestly they cannot sit there and go, well, life is hard because Texas, Oklahoma are in the Big 12. You can't do that anymore. Well, Utah and Oklahoma State, I don't care. You got a chance to compete in the Big 12 now. And if you don't get like a 9-3 season at the very least, or like 8-4, then I'm going to say the seat gets a little hotter for Joey McGuire.
Do you think Matt Wells should have been fired when he was?
Oh, they threw the baby with the bathwater on Matt Wells.
I mean, the thing that killed me though, like if they ended up 5-7 that year, at the end of him coaching, then I understand it. And I know that they probably would have gone 5-7 anyway, like they ended up with Matt Wells coaching. But they fired him when he was 5-3, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what made me laugh, though. I mean, they fired him when he was 5-3 that year, and now Texas Tech's infinitely worse. So again, sometimes you gotta be happy with what you got.
This is one of those things where it's
Texas Tech had the top recruiting class in the Big 12,
or damn near. They had a good class. They had a decent class last year.
But it's probably still ranked like in they can't be ranked higher than like the low 30s. Could they be? I mean,
mid 30s maybe.
Our friend, I talked with
I don't know.
Joey Foster, and we were talking about Texas Tech having top-notch recruiting classes, which I'm not going to lie. They've had top-notch recruiting classes for the Big 12, but will that translate on the field? So far, it hasn't, and we got to see more.
But as to like Matt Wells, too, sometimes, like you said with Matt Wells, sometimes you have to go, hey, we're not doing so bad. If we make a change, we could be worse off, and if they make another change, are they going to get worse off?
That's what I'm saying. Like just keep dropping. He wasn't good, but what I'm seeing right now from Texas Tech just looks a whole lot worse than the Matt Wells era. I mean, the Matt Wells era wasn't good, but they fired him after year 3, and he was 5-3 at the time of his firing. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, they got the 5-star, that wide receiver. I think he was from Texas also.
I've never
that will boost your especially on those composite rankings, like getting one 5-star in Big 12 will send you right to the top.
Aside from the Mike Leach era, I don't understand the hype for Texas Tech because I mean, they were barely making bowl games at the Tommy Tuberville era. And, Tuberville left Texas Tech for Cincinnati. And then we see, like, Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, he's a movie star. He's going to lead them to success. Not even close to where he has them. And they make a dumb move by firing Matt Wells for going 5-3. And Joey McGuire, he seems to be another shining star who's flaming out real quick. And I'm just not seeing Texas Tech go to I don't see Texas Tech winning a Big 12 title. Hell, they're not even going to finish in the top 4 under Joey McGuire. That I can personally guarantee.
Well, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was taking him to bowl games consistently. Again,
Yeah.
he wasn't good, but he was taking them to bowl games on a regular basis. Texas Tech is worse off now than they were during the Cliff Kingsbury era and the Matt Wells era. That's the problem. It's not that they're significantly worse. It's just the fact that they're worse to begin with. You fire a coach to hire a coach to get better, and they're not getting better.
And there should be some value in having like a football coach that's 10 times more handsome than any other football coach in the country. Like they blew that with Kingsbury. Let's be honest.
I think wins matter. I think wins matter more than what the coach looks like. Still,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like if you there are some thirsty moms for some of these recruits sometimes, and I mean, like, yeah.
The show's borderline getting to that PG-13 rated R territory in a heartbeat.
Cliff did leave with a losing record though at Texas Tech, as I recall correctly.
He was 35-40.
35-40, yeah. So I was like, he did have a losing record. I was like,
I mean, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. I'm not saying that, but I know technically Joey McGuire's got a winning record, but it's going down fast. Seemingly, it's what it looks like.
Yeah, and shout out Neil, our Nevada faithful over here.
Oh yes, how's the circus, Neil?
Nice.
Noise.
Adam, you're dying because you're stuck in 1989.
Nice.
There were too many games to cover this last week, and that's why I was like, I picked a few, and then I was like, anyone else have the ones to look up? And I was like,
well, I was thinking about BYU SMU. What's going on?
Yeah. I watched that game.
SMU's just not great. I mean, the thing is that Preston Stone was supposed to be. If I recall, Jackson, did you have him in the honorable mentions for the best quarterback this year? Your honorable mentions on your list? Did you?
I don't think I did.
You didn't. I thought you did, but I've seen him. He was hyped decently enough. I didn't watch the beginning of the game, so I cannot say what occurred. I don't know if he got hurt or they just benched him, but they put in their backup, and he can't pass the ball. He cannot throw at all. And I was like, where's Preston Stone? Literally, they showed on the screen that he was like 1 of 4 for 3 yards, and that was it. And I'm like, where is he then? Did he get hurt? Did they just bench him because he won a
They benched him. They benched him pretty much. Like they weren't doing.
Yeah, but they probably would have won with him though. I mean, because again, the backup was bad, really bad. I was like, oh well, he could run. I don't care. I really don't care. A quarterback has to be able to throw the ball. Unless you're an elite runner, that's not good enough, and he wasn't.
That was what you would call one of those just ugly BYU style games. 18-15, like it was not pretty. I watched it. It was not pretty.
Hey, Kalani Sitake thought it was a big win. He needed it because I mean BYU it's been falling apart. I don't know if they're going to be any good this year just based off of that, but I don't understand what's going on with SMU either. It's a great question from Jackson. I was just blown away that they benched Preston Stone, and I guess and seemingly the backup quarterback is not good, so it didn't really make any sense.
Yeah, they've not been looking so hot. BYU, I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to go for 2020.
That's a good question too, because how much longer does Sitake have before he starts? If he has like another bad season,
I think this game, like I said, really helped him. He needed this game. He needed something because he'd been trailing in the wrong direction significantly since the Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall eras. They were not doing well. If they go like 7-5, 6-6 this year, I think he'll be okay. But if he has another losing season this year, they're 2-0 right now. But it could be bad for him because, I mean, he's been there for a while. The longer you're there as a coach and you have good seasons at first, but then you trail in the wrong direction, you might be like Rick Stockstill at Middle Tennessee State, hold on for seemingly forever, but you're eventually going to get fired. He did great at first, trailed off. You can't do that. David Shaw, all these coaches that start off well and trail off, you're going to end up getting fired eventually. You can't continue to keep just holding on to what you did before. You have to continue to showcase that you're going to be able to lead teams to success.
And I do agree.
Obviously, is that going to be Dabo Sweeney?
Yeah, Dabo Sweeney is trending in that direction. Absolutely. If he doesn't,
but he has national titles, unlike Sataki. That's kind of the difference a little bit.
Well, absolutely. But I'm just, if Dabo Sweeney if he goes 7-5, 7-5, 6-6.
Oh yeah, no. If he goes down,
and
down
towards that right now because
he goes that
stubborn.
far. Yes. Sataki has a little bit, obviously, a unique situation with BYU in the sense that they have their missions. So he has this gap. So that does create that's an interesting, if you really think about all the changes and you talk about coaches managing the roster. Think about having to do that where someone could disappear for 2 years, basically.
Yeah. You got to commit out of high school. Okay, cool. I'll see you in 4 years.
Yeah, it's a very unique situation for BYU that they have to balance. It's tough.
And I mean, obviously the alumni and the leadership are very aware of the uniqueness of his situation as a coach, and that's why I think it's very important for someone in BYU to have an alumni, to have a person of the faith in the program. There, I mean, because their situation's so different from everybody else in college football. They're probably going to be a little more forgiving. The Markets has a little less slack in a program like this. You're not going to go in and bring in Hugh Freeze.
Oh God, no!
To run this program. Run this program.
You try to bring they might
bring in PJ Fleck to run BYU.
They might even consider Urban Meyer, but they're not bringing a Hugh Freeze.
No, yeah.
They might even consider Urban Meyer at least, but they'll just be like, "Hey, don't ever mention that strip club."
Yeah, no.
I don't think Urban Meyer is going back to coaching.
I don't think so either. I think there's been plenty of opportunities, and I think he's kind of like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
He's going to go take touchdown Jesus and rejuvenate Florida again with Tim Tebow as his offensive coordinator. You heard it here on the Voice of College Football.
Honestly, I think he patient enough to wait for Notre Dame. He was like, screw it, I'm going with the NFL. But, I mean, if Urban Meyer right now did say, hey, I'd like to coach at Notre Dame would just go, oh, Marcus, sorry, got to go, buddy. Bye.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that would bump Marcus out early at this point.
True. But, I mean.
Excuse me.
Oh, your excuse, but Gesundheit.
Someone said earlier you got the bird flu or something.
Yeah, Sean's got the bird flu over there with his hairdo.
My hairdo?
Dude, your hair was going in 18 directions earlier.
Spaz, I still think you're kind of looking like John Cazale from Dog Day Afternoon with that haircut.
No, he just was it Adam earlier said I looked like the nerd from Meatballs? One of the nerds.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Now we have to put the suit on you that what was Sal.
Okay, I might have to watch that. I've never actually seen that movie.
Yeah, dog.
No suit is going on this body.
Hey, Jackson, you got to pull this up, man.
Oh, I'm not at my computer. I'm on my phone.
Well, can you do it, Ben?
I don't think I want to. Everyone, close your eyes.
Okay.
Oh God.
My eyes are closed.
You wrote me on July 30th. You said, thank you, Only Talk Sport. Will Howard, Avery Johnson, Cam Rising, Caden Salter, Grayson McCall, Garrett Green, and Preston Stone were in my honorable mentions in 2024. That right there, my friend, I remembered. Because look at what he did last year. 28 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 3,200 passing yards for Preston Stone. He was hyped this season. I don't know why he was benched. Don't get it, because he did great last year, and you had him in your honorable mentions. I just remembered that. For whatever reason, I remembered that.
Yeah, because I was like, I wrote in so many names. It's like, I've got like 20,000 posts where it's like, oh, crap. I post this. Yeah. Like,
no, you're good, man. You're good. You just said you didn't have him in your honorable mentions, and I was like, I remember that because he was really good last year. That's why people said SMU maybe they can win the ACC this year because, I mean, he was one of the better quarterbacks in college football last year. You can't argue with 28 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 3,200 passing yards. You can't argue with that.
I thought they'd be better than what they are, but it's like I'm
Preston Stone is a better quarterback than that backup. That's all I can say.
Yes.
Really hoping.
That's why he shouldn't have been benched. They beat BYU if they don't bench him.
Yeah, because I mean, I wish
Coach doesn't know what he's doing. That's all I can say.
Well, hopefully he'll figure it out with the bye week. But I mean, I hope the CW curse doesn't get SMU when they play against TCU on week 4.
Well, they better play Preston Stone or they won't have a shot.
Nope. Well, I know our friends at the Voice Frog Insider, Melissa Treebwasser and Clint Foster, and Frog's Insider co-host and 247 sports writer Jamie Plunkett's going to be interested in it, and Steve Helwick from Underdog Dynasty is going to be interested in it as well because, I mean, he's a huge SMU guy, so I know he's going to love that one.
So I used to work with a guy who was a groundskeeper. Like I used to do some landscaping, work with a guy who worked on the SMU program, like maintaining the grounds there. And he told me like SMU is kind of like this like ritzy sort of like country club frou-frou kind of school. Like people show up to the tailgates in suits.
Well, hey, we know what they did in the 80s.
Yeah, they are a country club university, basically, is what he was kind of pitching the culture there as. It's like, you know, tuition's really expensive. The academic standards aren't super high there. But so it's basically
a school that's very expensive to get into. It costs a lot of money. Doesn't have the highest academics. They usually go hand in hand with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Weird. Yeah, so it's basically like, you know, it is a school for spoiled rich.
Yeah, so it's an image thing. It's like I went to SMU, right? It's an image.
Yeah, it is.
It's for rich mid grades. You learn something new every day. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, that was the picture he painted to me. It's like, yeah, you know what? It's basically for rich underachievers. That's where they go.
Well, somebody said one of the Kardashians went to SMU. Jason said that.
Okay.
So
there we go.
John.
Yeah, I'm sure they did some things to get ahead in the classroom.
Yeah, Sean said underachievers. The Kardashians. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm sure she had a lot of 12-inch soldiers in the back room, if you know what I mean.
Oh my. Okay.
Brian Nichols.
Wait. Is Jackson Johnson providing some after dark content here?
Yeah, Jackson's spicing it up now instead of Ben normally. Brian Nichols, the Nebraska fans, showed out on Saturday, and what's funny to me is that they always show out. That's not the issue. It's just they haven't had the product on the field to back it up, and they finally kind of had that this time, at least in the first half. But Nebraska fans always showed out. That's not the problem.
No, Nebraska fans are like they're real. They're OGs, man. They're real.
Literally, I mean, they have been awful a few of these past few seasons, and they still sell out every game. It's not the fans. That's why I laughed at that comment, because he's like, they showed out on Saturday. They always do. What are you talking about? They always do. It's just the product hasn't been there.
Yeah. I mean, like that is the truest fan base in college football. There is no.
I mean, no matter how bad they are, the fans are still there.
There is no contender for like who are the realest fans in
Nebraska. That's why they're still a blue blood. I mean, literally, the fans are what's keeping them a blue blood at this point.
Yeah. Well, what other program could go 8 years without going to a bowl game, and we're still a blue blood?
They're like Indiana basketball. Indiana basketball and Nebraska football are like the same thing. They haven't been good 25 years. The fans still support them, and they sometimes, especially Indiana basketball, can win a big game basically just because of the fans. Literally, the atmosphere.
Somewhere.
And once a decade, they have a team that can be like a top 10 team, maybe. Just and then the next year they win like 30% of their games or something like that. Yeah.
But the fans are still there.
Somebody out there pulls for Nebraska football because that's their feel bad team. We don't know who it is, but we know somebody that does.
And listen, I've never been to Lincoln. I've never been to a Nebraska football game, but I have talked to like Nebraska like fans and stuff, and they are, I mean, like legitimately the fucking nicest human beings on earth. They are such cool people. Yeah. Someone basically like spilled the beans on why Scott Frost had to be. I'm not going to say it here, but why Scott Frost had to be relieved when he did. When if they waited like 6 weeks, they could have saved $8 million. I mean, like these guys these people are real. They're super.
It makes me laugh because like some of the, people will say there's not much else to do in Nebraska. Well, there's a lot of other states like that, right? Like Montana or Wyoming or whatever. And like those teams have fans and their crowds are good. Like Wyoming can get a good crowd, have a good team. But they're not Nebraska. Nebraska's like the only one where the stadium's massive, the fans are insane. They're like Alabama. They're like any other program in the South, or even Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. They're in that group, but they're in a state that's got nothing else. But every other state like that doesn't have a Nebraska. Montana, Wyoming, even North Dakota State, they got good fans, but they're not Nebraska. It's just Nebraska, and that's it. There's no other state really that you can say that has that massive fan support.
Oh, man, he face froze again.
Yeah.
That great of a football program historically in a state that has nothing. Omaha is getting a lot bigger, but they still don't have it. Like, they don't have anything. They don't have like a professional team or anything yet. So it's just Nebraska. That's it.
Yeah. And Nebraska's even weird. Like, do they even, they're not close to any like major market at all. Mm-hmm. Omaha is all they have.
Omaha's gotten a lot bigger. Boise, Idaho, and Omaha, Nebraska are two fast-growing cities.
Yeah, but they're so small.
They got a sports team one day. I wouldn't be surprised because they're growing like they're just insane.
Yeah, they're still smaller than Grand Rapids, both of them. So, I mean, Yeah, and like, but they're like, what's the closest city? What's the closest like major market to anywhere in Nebraska? St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are very isolated, and
I'm gonna
they
say
care a
that,
lot about their program.
and then I'm off to bed.
I'm about the same
Guys,
here
all-
too.
Sean,
Cool.
I'll see you October 12th. And everybody else, I'll see you next week.
See you next
Take
week.
care, Spaz.
Yep.
Night. And then there were
I will say though, Sean, I will say,
Yeah.
Do you know how many people are in Omaha, Nebraska? Do you know?
The metro area has like just over 1 million people.
Yeah, and the city itself is over 400,000, 486,000. I mean, it's a big city.
It's
Omaha
it's
is the
solid.
biggest city in America, and that was not the case 2 decades ago. 2 decades ago, how many? Okay, they had in 1990 335,000. Now they have 483,000. They've gained 150,000 people in 30 years.
Yeah, that's
Omaha's big. They're big.
No, I mean, like Grand Rapids has grown. Where I live, it's grown faster than that. I mean,
Grand Rapids, Michigan, right now has 196,000 people. So
yeah, but the metro area is like the weird
Omaha,
thing is
Nebraska
with these cities,
almost triple the size. I don't know if you can cut out. Grand Rapids is 196,000 people.
It depends on how the city limits are defined. Like it just depends on where you actually like mark the boundaries. And the metro area, the metro area for Grand Rapids is larger than the metro area for Omaha. I'm almost positive it's really close, but.
The metro is 1.1 million. So, yes, it is slightly bigger than the metro for Omaha. But the point is that Omaha is a big city. Yeah. And I think with the fact that there's nothing else around it, it will probably get a professional sports team one day. I just think that it will. The rate that it's growing and the fact that Nebraska has such great fans for football, if they could put something there and get the fans behind it, it would be insane. Because that's how St. Louis is good fans. St. Louis is good fans, even though they're a smaller metro too. They're not like Atlanta.
No. They're one of the smallest metros in like the major sports cities.
So
but
Omaha is a place to look at. That is a rapidly growing city.
Yeah, for sure.
Most people don't know how big it is. I thought that it had like 300 something thousand. I didn't even know it was that big until I looked it up, but I knew it was big because there's a lot of business there. Look at Creighton, for example. Nobody talks about Creighton basketball. Look at their fans. Creighton's in Omaha. That's why I'm saying professional sports team, Omaha, because they get the fans. Nebraska, Creighton basketball, Nebraska football has fans. And even Nebraska basketball is not bad.
If the NBA or the NHL had any sense, they would take one of these teams in one of these like dying areas, like these Sunbelt cities for hockey, or
Well, they just moved the Arizona Coyotes to Utah, so I guess
put any of those teams in Omaha. You're not going to be able to. You're going to sell out for the next 5 years.
I'm serious. Like, I would be the business manager for that. Like, move a team to Omaha. Like, let's make it happen.
Of course, definitely. That area needs it.
Mm-hmm. Why have an Omaha baseball team in the MLB? That would be a lot of money, right?
You could do baseball, you could do hockey, you could do anything, and I guarantee you that the fans would be there. They absolutely would be. They'd be so stoked to have a professional sports team for the first time. And plus the fact that, like I said, the city's rapidly growing and it's not slowing down. That
there would be like zero pressure to win right away. In a place like that.
Jacob Leffler says Omaha has a crime problem, though. there are sports teams in Chicago and St. Louis and Memphis. And Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't really think that matters.
Detroit,
Oh,
I mean, Memphis,
Philadelphia,
Tennessee
Detroit,
is
Baltimore.
horrible. They got a basketball team.
Oakland had
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of members. Like, oh my God! Like,
So wait, has Oakland lost? Oakland's lost 3 major
All-
professional sports teams.
all of
They only
in
have
like
the
5
Athletics,
years.
and they're thinking about going to Vegas.
Well, they are going to Vegas.
I hasn't
They'll be
been
in Vegas
finalized
next-
yet, has it?
It is. Oh yeah, it got finalized
Hasn't
like
been
a year
finalized?
ago.
I didn't know it was.
Yeah, no. They're playing in Vegas next season.
Okay, I did not see that.
Yeah.
That is
And,
insane.
I'm sad.
yeah. So yeah, the city of Oakland has lost 3. And no one's bringing this up at all. This is like a really insane story. The city of Oakland has lost 3 major professional sports teams in the last 5
I think
years.
I did see that now, but I didn't know that it was finalized. I saw it earlier this year.
Now they have 0.
Yeah,
absolutely.
well, they're not going to get anything back. So
No.
No.
once it's gone, you're not getting it back.
No.
Well, I mean, another tech boom, and maybe who knows? Maybe it'll be like the Bay Area will become like LA or New York again, where they have 2 teams in every sport.
Well, see, like Jacob Leffler says, it makes it less appealing with the crime. OKC would be far more attractive. OKC is the Thunder, though. Now, all I'm saying with Omaha is because they don't have.
Oklahoma City has nothing to offer. Omaha's a better place to build than OKC.
Yep.
OKC doesn't have much of a downtown or anything.
And they have the Thunder anyway, so they don't really need another sports team. I mean,
I'm kind of shocked that Oklahoma City even has any.
well, they shouldn't have, but the Seattle Supersonics or whatever went to the Thunder.
Yeah.
I mean, the Seattle Supersonics was an iconic team. Because
God, what was that guy's name? He was an Oklahoma guy. He was an oil magnate who owned the Sonics. That's why they moved it to Oklahoma City.
Mhm.
It was purely just a personal passion project of that
But
whoever that owner was.
Were there any week 2 games that we left out or no?
I'm sure there were a few. I mean, I don't think we
Did
we talked
Duke
about
Northwestern.
We haven't talked about Duke Northwestern or Kansas State Tulane.
No, we did
I will
talk about.
say-
Well, I brought up Kansas State Tulane earlier, and then it got shut off immediately.
Duke shouldn't have won. Malik Murphy tried to give the game away like several times, but they ended up winning in the end.
Yeah, that was a tight one. And you know what's funny? Northwestern is one of 2 Power 4 teams that hasn't had a passing touchdown all year. The other one, Notre freaking Dame. That's bad.
Yeah, this last thing I'll talk about with Omaha, and I won't talk about it anymore. But Jason says the Omaha TV market's ranked 73rd. No one's in a hurry to put a pro team there. I get it. I totally get it. But I'm just saying that it's a future thing. I mean, we might all be, not even here anymore and they do it one day. I'm just saying that Omaha will get one eventually because it's a growing city. And Nebraska, their fans are insane. They would support a team like that. But it might be a long time. But I just think that it could happen eventually. But that's a good point. But yeah, the Duke Northwestern game was solid, but yeah, I think Northwestern needed that game more than Duke because of their schedule, and they couldn't get it done. So it definitely was a missed opportunity for Northwestern
Oh, he face froze again.
because they really should have won.
Yeah. But yeah, as for like Kansas State Tulane, that was a tight one. Tulane was close, but no cigar on that one. K-State got their revenge from 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Tulane still had Michael Pratt and Willie Fritz, they probably would have beat them.
Yeah, I mean, K-State, I'm just like, this Big 12 season is going to be so fucking entertaining. Like,
the Big 12 is just not that good. It's just a bunch of average teams. Like Arizona's not looking at.
But it's also not that bad. It's like a lot of pretty good teams.
They're not that good. They're not that bad. So they're all going to beat up on one another, and then you'll have like an 8-4, 9-3 champion in the playoff.
And then they'll have to play like Texas or Ole Miss in the second round, or Alabama in the second round, and just get smacked probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it doesn't make sense to have the playoff system the way it is, that the champions of the Power Four conference, Big 12, ACC, get the top spots. It doesn't even make any sense because they don't deserve it. They're not that good. There's not one team in the Big 12 that is worthy of being in the top 4 of the playoff. It's not even close. And the ACC is even worse as a conference at large because every team's looking bad except Miami right now. And will Miami still end up imploding by the season's end? We'll see. But Florida State is looking terrible. Clemson's not. I mean, Clemson looked good against App State, but still, I mean, like, it just isn't looking that good.
And we're basing our perceptions on Miami even off of one game against a pretty bad team.
Yeah, I know. So, like, we don't know. That's what I'm saying. They can still implode and go like 7-5. We don't.
I mean, I have a lot of faith in Miami this season.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty good. I don't think they're one of the 5 best teams in the country, though. No.
Oh, no. And that's why the system is messed up. I mean, I've probably said it 100 million times to the point where people don't want me saying it anymore. But if the conferences were the way they were back in the 80s and 90s, it would make sense to have the playoff system like this. It doesn't make sense with the Big Ten and the SEC being infinitely more powerful conferences with all the best teams in the conferences to have it where you're going to allow the Power 4 champions to get the top 4 spots. It makes no sense. The ACC and the Big 12 are way weaker conferences now. It's just dumb. It's dumb to have this system now. With realignment, it's significantly weakened every single conference not named the Big Ten and the SEC. It's just insane.
And like, honestly, I would like to see the Big 12 or the ACC champion play that Power 5 conference. I would, or that G5 conference. I don't think that would be a given. Like,
no, it would.
You put, like, say, Oklahoma State against Boise State. I'm interested in that game. You put Texas against Boise State. Let me know.
People that are putting together the 12-team playoff, that designed it, whoever it was, they clearly just don't understand what college football is right now. What it's become. It doesn't work because the games are going to suck. We're going to watch them anyway because we love football, but the games are going to suck. A lot of them. And it's the system is broken. If they were to have a 12-team playoff back in the 1980s and 90s, it would have made sense for it to be set up like this. But it doesn't make sense for it to be set up like this now. I don't understand it. When conferences have been pretty even for the most part, the power ones anyway. Not exactly even, but pretty even for the vast majority of since the 60s to 2010s, early 2010s. They were pretty even. But they're not even close anymore. There's a clear hierarchy. We all know it. Big 10 SEC, then it's the Big 12 ACC and Tier 2, and then everyone else. But now you have this system where all the top 4 conferences are equal. It's dumb. They're not equal. There's no teams in the ACC or the Big 12 that will, in most years, ever be a top 4 team. Ever. So it doesn't make sense. They know it doesn't make sense, but they don't care for some reason, and I don't understand it.
Like the ACC has a few programs that, like, I mean, like they have pretty high ceilings right now, but who even knows how long that's going to last?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, Clemson could be gone, Miami, Florida State eventually. We don't know when, but if they're gone, then it's done.
The Big 12, does the Big 12 have a single program in there that you think, like, okay, that's a blue blood? That's a
Kyle Whittingham has maxed out Utah. He cannot do any better with Utah than what he's already done.
Right.
He can't do any better.
And can Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, he's just consistent. We know what he is. We know what their program is. Every other year they have one season where they're like top 10 to 15-ish, and then most years they're 7-5, 8-4. That's Oklahoma.
They have the 1 year where they blow a national championship spot because they lose to Iowa State in the middle of the season.
All we heard from Florida State was how they're going to leave the ACC. They're sick and tired of it. And at first,
Florida State is not making themselves look good right now.
I had so much sympathy for them, like a lot of us do. But then it was like we got tired of it.
I felt bad for them last year, but now they're dragging their feet with whether they're going to leave, and now they're just imploding as a team.
They did win the bye week though.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. They got Memphis. That's one of the more interesting games this next week. They got Memphis, don't they? Next week.
That's a sneaky game. People are asking me about that one. I'm both week 1 and week 2, and it's bitten me. So I don't know. I'm not confident in it right now.
Yeah. I mean, like how ironic would it be for Mike Norvell in year 4 to lose to or year 5? Whatever it is,
the sports live stream of
to lose to the school that he came from. To lose.
I never upset Memphis. Says keep chopping. Oh, that's a good one.
I wonder I wonder if there's gonna be like some Florida State people throwing pillows couch if they're losing to Memphis. Oh no, or does that like only occur with Lakers, Grizzlies? My error.
I don't know. All I know is that Florida State has disappointed mightily. I mean, no one was expecting them to be a 10-2, 11-1 team for the most part. But I think I had them going. I didn't do an official ACC prediction. I think I had them going like 9-3. I mean, they were supposed to be.
You're still live. You're still live with that prediction.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be right. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't super hot, but the ACC's not that good, right? Like you thought they had done good enough. But yeah, they're horrible.
ACC. Oh, whoops, wrong conference.
Yeah, the ACC will never reserve the right to be able to use that chant effectively.
Well, I do here at Boise College football.
I mean, the SEC, even though it's corny and a lot of people hate when they do it, it just means more and all that. At least their conference is good. I mean, the ACC isn't any good right now.
Well, the SEC has taken a couple of shots on the chin the last couple of weeks, too. So
I will agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's not – I mean – There is sort of an ironic air of snobbery in the SEC, right? I think just.
But the thing is, like when the ACC or the Big 12, like if or when they win a big game, right? Like it's going to be magnified because they do it more rarely. That right, Whereas with the SEC, they lose a couple games that they probably should have won. It's like, oh, the sky's falling. On a vast majority, on a regular basis, the SEC wins most of their big games. They lose a couple, and then it's like, oh, well, they're garbage now. They're not garbage. They still have most of the best teams in college football along with the Big Ten, but it's because if the ACC Big 12, if they win a big game, it gets way more magnified because it's more of a big deal because they did it versus the Big Ten or the SEC, especially the SEC. If they win a big game, it's like, oh, well, they were supposed to. It doesn't matter as much.
Right.
Well,
like if Clemson had to beat Georgia, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What would have happened? Oh, the ACC, they got Clemson, and Clemson, they did the unthinkable. Georgia wins that game, no one cares. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything to Clemson. Like, Clemson just like, hey, you took your shot.
They were supposed to do that.
It's like you hit on the model in the bar and stuff. It's like, yeah, she's gonna tell you to fuck off or give you a fake number. Like that's just what's gonna happen.
2014.
It's like, but when it's like, oh my God, I actually got a call, and I'm actually gonna like, she actually agreed to meet me for coffee this week. Oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, I know. It's such a good comparison.
Yeah.
2014, where like the Big Ten had the worst ever week in week 2, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Big Ten's the worst," but then things got better for them over the course of the season.
Oh yeah, I remember that, man. People were roasting the Big Ten that year, right? And then it's like they turned it around. They ended up doing respectable enough. It's like this comment from Brian saying Cal's a sleeper in the ACC. Good win against Auburn. Auburn's that team that always just doesn't try hard against bad teams, right? But if Cal was in the SEC and they had one of the tougher schedules in the SEC, they'd be sleeping in the SEC. They wouldn't be a sleeper. They'd be sleeping. Cal is lucky to be in the ACC because they'll have a chance at least.
Yeah. Ben, you're muting yourself. You're on mute, Ben.
Muted.
God damn it. Anyways, I think the thing we have to look for and to end the night with kind of in the sense of is no matter all the trash talk and overreactions that we can have, it's only week 2.
Yeah.
So outside of Florida State, everyone else still is alive and well. Florida State, you're done. You're done, though.
Including
done.
Indiana. They're
Yeah,
alive.
it's like, get out of here, Florida State. You're done.
Those panicking about
If Western Illinois can't slow you down, I mean, what can?
Hey, they might have slowed Tom Allen down a little bit.
Well, next are on fun matchups like Alabama, Wisconsin, Purdue, Notre Dame, Indiana, UCLA, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Oregon State,
Washington State, yeah.
South Carolina, LSU, Georgia bashing Kentucky on the field. Man, like,
I like how he called that one. He just named the other games, and he's like Georgia bashing Kentucky on the field, just outright. Like, yeah, no, it's Kentucky has no shot.
Yeah. Hey, no. Brock Vandegrift's got a score to settle.
I mean, seriously, how is Kentucky Georgia a primetime game? Kentucky's gonna get drugged.
We all know the primetime games. It's broken now because you have the big noon kickoff that gets a lot of supposed primetime games. Like a lot of the games that are on the big noon kickoff should be the primetime game. But it's because Fox is the time slot with more viewers.
But it's also because this week's slate of games are complete dog poop.
Except Indiana, UCLA. That's a good game.
I am looking forward to that game, actually. That should be an interesting one.
It's the first time Indiana's been to the Rose Bowl since 1967. It's a big deal.
Say that one more time. The word of the night, Sean. What jail sets? Yeah, that's
jail sexed. Yeah. Jail sexed.
Yep. They're going to beam like
Jeffrey hasn't learned about that yet. I don't know. Have you ever been in juvie yet, Jeffrey?
Juvie.
I don't think he's seen like a big dude with products all over.
I think we can all agree here. Jeffrey would be like, I can't go to jail because... And we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that.
That could be a challenge for the next one.
I will say SpongeBob did have a soap joke. You remember that, Jackson?
We
did have a soap joke. So I'm not completely in adverse here, but
no. That could be a contest we would have. It's just like we all vote on the best submission here. It's like, Jeffrey, I can't go to jail because, and then everyone submits a complaint.
I think we know what most of the comments will be.
Oh yeah, tune in for next week's After Dark, where somebody's going to throw in an Animaniacs reference. You won't know what part of the show you're going to hear it in, but you'll know when.
Hey, I'm looking forward to that. I will say, though, underratedly, Arizona, Kansas State on Friday night's a good game. That's a good game. That's a game that no one remembers because it's not on Saturday. But Fox has a primetime game now on Friday nights. I think it's kind of lame. I prefer it on Saturday night, but that's still a great game next week in a bad slate of games. Can't forget about that one.
Oh, and don't forget Arizona.
Which one was that, Jeffrey? I'm sorry. I tuned out for a second.
Kansas State on Friday night.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the best game of the week, and it's on Friday night.
Oh, and Arizona State, Texas State. That looks like a perfect track game for Arizona State because I mean, State's shown what they can do to Big 12 teams. I wonder if they can do it again next week.
What are you talking about? Texas State just beat the hell out of UTSA.
Oh yeah, they
did. They just
beat the hell out of them.
Oh shit! I completely missed that one. Really?
What was that, like 46-10 or something like that?
Oh,
man, that slipped right under my radar. I could not. Oh shit!
I have to ask you guys a question. Do you think that Notre Dame Purdue will have more viewers or Texas A&M Florida?
I think Mary Mac Bucknell, whatever.
Depending, both games are close. Which game's gonna have? Did I cut out there? I asked. Do you think Notre Dame Purdue will have more viewers or Texas A&M Florida will have more viewers? Depending, both games are close.
I would probably say Texas A&M Florida. I mean, like those are major like media markets.
That's tough because you have three fan bases combined that are all Colts. So yeah, probably Texas A&M and Florida.
Yeah, so that definitely Notre Dame, Florida, and Purdue all Colt fan bases, right?
Yeah. I mean, Purdue's not garbage. They got fans. They got a decent home crowd, decent fans. But it's not nowhere on the level of the other three. Absolutely.
No,
Notre Dame will carry.
They've got definitely proper promo, Jason O. But no, I mean Purdue has a fan base of one, and his name is Michael Hogue.
Hey, their stadium holds 60,000 people, and they can't sell out that thing. I mean, I will give Purdue props. Their fans are better in football than Indiana. But Indiana's getting there. Signetti will bring them. They'll come. But Purdue does have better fans in football than Indiana. Indiana's is better than basketball, though, by a little bit. I know they hate it. I know they don't like it, but they do.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Purdue's in a more populous area of Indiana, like Bloomington. There's not much around there.
Jeez, God, the nighttime.
Purdue's like an hour outside Chicago, hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, Bloomington's not that far from Indy, though. I mean, not that far.
Right.
I mean, it's like an hour and a half or something like that away from Indy.
Yeah. The bison are getting hunted. That's just what I'm going to say.
But
this one,
Kansas was found against UNLV. That's front.
Jason O says Mackey Arena is better than Assembly Hall, man. No, it's not. Assembly Hall is better than Mackey, man. Just by a little bit. They're both top 10 stadiums in college basketball. But Assembly Hall is a little bit better. I give Ross Aid over Memorial Stadium in football. Purdue's football stadium is better. But Indiana basketball is a little bit better. That's just my opinion.
So question, which is the worst Memorial Stadium, Illinois or Indiana?
Or USC.
I mean, Indiana's probably like the vast majority of history has been the worst. I mean, they haven't had any fans. I mean, Illinois has been decent at times. But I think Indiana's catching up fast. I mean, you see if Indiana's like 4-0, if they can beat UCLA, beat Charlotte, and then they're playing like Maryland and they're like 4-0, the fans will be better. I mean, when Indiana played Cincinnati the year after they went 6-2, and Michael Penix, it was the hyped season when they were ranked against Iowa, that crowd was great. Absolutely for that Cincinnati game. If they can get back to that level, it's not a bad environment.
Oh, I was petrified that game. That was the biggest game. That was one of the biggest games.
If they did not have that targeting call against them, Indiana had a shot in that game. They had a shot, but he completely imploded after that weak targeting call.
Yeah, then Penix got knocked out for the season, like right after the first quarter of the next game,
and
then
never healthy that season. He was not recovered from that ACL the previous year. He was not even healthy. He should not even have played against Iowa and Cincinnati that season.
Well, and I guess I guess we're about to run out of time in a little bit because it's we've been on for a long fucking time.
Yes, and I got.
It's been entertaining though.
We'll have to get ready for the morning show on the Voice of College Football, which is on 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, every Monday, Friday, right here at the Voice of College Football.
How do we still have this many viewers? That's
the show is entertaining, man.
We've got some fucking freaks.
Yeah, it's been holding strong. I think it's just started to get late for some people. So of course, like for me, it's 12:40 a.m. I gotta go to 5.
It's 1:40 for me and Jeffrey. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about Mary Mac until 2, and then switch to something else.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. I will kick you off this panel.
Yeah, shit, man. What the fuck was that in stores yesterday?
Is it only me that breaks the fourth wall? Or is it anybody else? Ben, do you break the fourth wall here on After Dark?
There's no walls. We don't have walls on this show. This is After Dark.
It's just a screen. It's just a screen.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall is like what Garfield does in the old cartoons.
Deadpool.
When he stares at the viewers, that's breaking the fourth wall, and he talks to you. So I guess we are breaking the fourth wall. We're talking to you guys. We're talking to the chat, right? And so it is the fourth wall.
Yep, we're talking to you. We're talking to you, chat. We're talking extremely. We're breaking the fourth wall here. I mean, this is going to be the only college football show that you know of that's breaking the fourth wall. That I can guarantee.
On a regular basis.
No. We're not breaking a fourth wall because we don't have walls. Okay.
Walls work, though. I'd like to put up a wall around all of you. Jesus. Is there
spaz first, though? He would do spaz first.
All right.
That is true. Final comment where people can find you. What game are you looking for to most this next weekend? Pick one game. One game. I think we know. I already know 2 of you who's going to be there. For sure.
Oh, I'm saying Alabama, Wisconsin. Yeah, I had to choose between Bama, Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, West Virginia. It's Alabama, Wisconsin.
Jeffrey?
We doing the promotion as well, like where people can find us. We just doing the
yeah, all of that.
Oh my goodness. I will say I'm like with Jackson. It's either Alabama, Wisconsin, but it's Indiana, UCLA. It's Indiana, UCLA because I'm excited for Indiana. National stage, NBC. Can they go start the season 3-0 and get a big win in the Rose Bowl, something they've never done? That would be massive. Then Alabama, Wisconsin, because I am a Bama fan. But I'm interested to see, can Alabama look better than they did against South Florida? Can they go on the tough environment, even though Wisconsin hasn't looked all that good? And I just cut out again. Always when I'm doing a post or something. But without Alabama, Wisconsin, or Indiana, UCLA, without those 2 games, my favorite teams, it would be Arizona, Kansas State. That's my favorite game I'm looking forward to. That's not a part of the 2 teams that I want to watch because I like them. But if doing where people can find you can find me on YouTube and Only Talk Sports, Twitter, Jeffrey and Only Talk Sports as well, where I talk football every single day. And we'll be having predictions coming up soon for this wild week 3 that everybody thinks is going to be trash, but we got some good games to look forward to. Absolutely.
I mean, upsets are coming.
Hopefully Indiana is not one of them because they're favored against UCLA.
Is that real? Indiana's favored against UCLA.
They're favored by 1.5. They are. UCLA is an underdog against Indiana. This is real. This is not a drill. Absolutely. Look, actually, the line has grown. We got to pull this up. We got to pull this up since we're talking about it. I know we got to go.
Oh,
but there we go. Ben, Indiana, favored by 2.5 versus UCLA.
Isn't that within
It's
the
almost
margin
a
of
field
error?
goal.
That's within the margin of error, though. So.
But the thing is, Ben, is at the beginning of the season, I think the line that there was like one line for this game. UCLA was favored by like 6. Indiana's favored by 2.5. What a swing!
Oh.
Telling you, this game.
Sean, pay attention.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I am ready. Okay, so outside of the obvious Merrimack Bucknell showdown this week,
I didn't do it, man.
and I believe it's McKeesport, Pennsylvania. I believe that's where Bucknell is. Let me take a look here.
Pennsylvania sounds correct, but
No, but Bucknell is definitely in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But Lewisburg, sorry. Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. So, I mean, like, obviously, the eyes of the college football world will be on Lewisburg this weekend. But other than that, I am looking forward to seeing former Ohio State offensive coordinator legend Bill O'Brien take his Boston College Eagles into Columbia this weekend, and that's. I mean, I don't know if Boston College is for real or not, or I don't know if we're overrating Florida State that much. But
hey, Georgia Tech is decent as well. I know they just lost to Syracuse, but they're decent. I mean, I think BC is a better team than last year, but it's still going to be hard to play Missouri.
And their quarterback is, I mean, like, he's a wild card. I mean, like, he's such a unique talent. I
mean, he is not a great passer, but he can surprise you at times. But his running, I mean, he's good. He's actually pretty solid.
And he keeps every play alive. Like, you can't really rush him.
He's like Caleb Williams, kind of, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you can't. So,
Caleb Williams is better, but, yeah.
But, you know, he's just that kind of guy that gives you a chance at all times. And now that he's, like, receiving instruction from an elite top-level offensive mind, that's one of the more interesting games this week. So I'll be interested. I don't expect Boston College to come out of there with a win, but I think that'll be a very entertaining game. There's a lot of subplots, a lot of angles to that story that I'm excited about.
Oh, no. And you can also John Garner on X, where he gives some top-notch takes of the world.
Oh, Jack, that is so kind of you.
I should have let Jackson do the promo for Only Talk Sports. Should have let Jackson do it. He's bad.
No. There's a reason why he didn't. It's just because he doesn't think you have very good takes.
That's true too. That is true.
3,000 on YouTube, and let's get it.
And might I say, our comment section are fucking savages right now.
Absolutely.
And we love you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. You guys have been great. Once again, we're just here every Sunday night, College Football After Dark, right here on the main channel. To the panel here, everyone in the chat. You can find me again on Tuesday. Well, this week will be Wednesday. We'll have special guests for the Oregon show. And you're all wrong. The only game that matters this week is the Civil War continues.
There we go.
Suck it, Beavers.
I
All
feel
right,
bad.
that was a
for
week.
Will.
That was
I feel bad for Oregon State.
that was a weak outro. That was a weak outro. I apologize.
No.
The thing is, I feel too bad
it's-
for Oregon State to talk bad about. I know you're Oregon, so
No,
you got
no,
to.
no.
I feel bad for them.
I'm excited to see who the guest is on Dunce.
I'm gonna tell you that someone's gonna clip that of you saying "suck it," and that "suck it, Beavers," and that will end your career.
Oh, you think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the worst thing I've ever done?
You got to be
on
very
camera that someone
careful with
can
what you
clip?
say, man, because once people start clipping it and jiffing it, you're done.
Oh,
Well,
it's already been done. It's already been done.
No.
Don't be like Oscar. There's one.
All we need right now is
All we need is Jeffrey.
Jackson.
Jeffrey.
Well, no, you know what? Tonight I'll let Jeffrey do it. Jeffrey, please lead us out with the final.
You gotta have that Pop-Tart, man.
There we go. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next Sunday night right here again.
You gotta say it before.
Yeah. Fuck it. Whatever.
I forgot exactly what you're supposed to say, to be honest.
I know. I kind of set you up there.
You'll say,
I kind of forgot. I know what it is.
Hey, ref, where's that fudge?
When we
Hey, you gotta have the Pop-Tart. That's decent, I think.
when I do the hangout thing next Friday or next time I call you, we'll rehearse it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, a proper rehearsing, I can do it,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
yeah.